Heyo! Welcome into a TFA live Dino show. This is only the Tom. What is this? The second or third live show we've ever done. So
I don't know.
we're still warming up. We don't know how to intro. We don't know how to outro.
I don't know, but it's gonna be titled The Live Shit Show because it's gonna be no agenda, no nothing. We know nothing. We just want to talk shit.
That's exactly what we want to do. And there's no better person to add to the talking of shit than the petty boy himself, Mr. Petty Cody Kutzer.
Group doggy dog.
Group doggy dog is an ass. What's up, boys?
Oh, man. I am pumped up to talk about whatever we're going to talk about today. It could be NFL. It could be Tom's vacation. Tom, you are still on vacation. Not letting that affect the pod status. You are still rocking with us. And how is vacation going?
You know, it's pretty good. Wife had to go back, take care of the dog today that was in daycare. I told you guys about it. But, yeah, he's old. He's 13, but he's doing good. Other than that, we had a rainy day. The beach is here. Went to the beach the last couple of days. I haven't gotten burnt yet. Nobody's really yelled at me too bad. I haven't punched a 13-year-old kid on the boardwalk. You know what? That's a win. That's a win. As you can see, you might be able to hear some crickets, some cars going by, me screaming and throwing things at random passerbys. Don't let that affect you. It's just going to be Dino, redraft, whatever goodness. It's going to be football goodness because it's cut day. It's cut day.
It's cut day. Actually, I think that's where we can start it off because Robbie has to take the first L on the season, and the season hasn't even made it to week one. Cam Newton, one of my bigger sleepers, is cut by his team, New England. You guys
Sleeping
know
on
my
the
feelings.
Sleeping on the streets now.
He might be going to Hollywood. I think he just goes to Wayne, the Rock Johnson mold. He just goes straight to Hollywood. Guys, like from a Dino perspective, is this his last stop? Is he done?
I don't know. I really don't think he's the I'm going to go sit and be a backup quarterback kind of guy. So it could be, but it's funny. And yeah, and Kevin Steele said he's going to Houston. And guess what? If he goes to Houston, then maybe he'll wind up being the starter there after a few weeks. So he could be. And, he could just sit there on the sideline, wait for an injury to come out, get paid a little bit, come out and play. Have himself a day. But yeah, fantastic. I sent you the screenshot of when I said Cam Newton will literally be cut before week one and Mac Jones will be the starting quarterback. I have that as a screenshot with the timestamp and everything confirming I said it would happen. Robbie, take that L, son.
Yeah, you said that at approximately 9:44 this morning. Great time.
No, I don't have a day on there. There's no date, sir. There's no date. I believe that was about 6 months ago.
It probably was.
No, right after. So we knew Mac Jones was going to the Patriots 6 months ago, and I predicted this, obviously, because that was pre-draft, but I'm on vacation.
Cody, are you pumped up about some of these other Patriot options? Damian Harris, any of the wide receivers? Are you bumping up the tight ends for this year? What does this change do for you with some of those other weapons?
I really don't think it does all that much, to be honest. Like, we assumed it was going to be Mac Jones at some point, right? Like, it was kind of a case of when, not if. And the only ones that I think we're truly interested in, the only ones we can really quote unquote count on at this point, you got Damian Harris. I do think James White is a sneaky PPR option for this year. I mean, he's basically forgotten about. He's been left for dead. So I think in redraft leagues, I mean, you're able to get him 12th, 13th, 14th round now. Like, he has slipped all the way down. So I think he's interesting from a PPR perspective because we knew Cam wasn't going to be dumping off much to him. And then I think it's Jonnu and Jacoby Myers, maybe. Like, I really don't know what to make of this pass catching core. I really don't. I think Jonnu is the most intriguing one just because of how versatile he is and the different ways he can be used. But outside of Damian Harris, I mean, is there anything that you guys are really targeting or excited for? Or like, how do you guys think that's going to pan out?
So I think Aguilar is somebody we might want to be on the lookout for. Because Mac did like to push the ball down the field a little bit. Remember when Robbie told me I was crazy for saying Cam wouldn't make it past week 4 or 5? We are laughing. GIF. We all are actually laughing at you, not with you. We
No,
want to
just
make sure
straight
you know
at me.
the joke is on you. So
No, the joke will be when he does go to the Texans and he is still a top 15 quarterback, doubling down.
Stop it,
Heard
dude.
it here first.
Just at this point, just do you have a blender you can shove your head in?
Hold on. Damian Harris, I think that this is interesting because I put out a poll because I was curious because I think there's two ways you can argue Damian Harris, right? We've seen running backs be super efficient with running quarterbacks, right? We've seen this Miles Sanders with Jalen Hurts last year. His yards per carry were crazy. We've seen this with the running backs with Kyler. We've seen this with the Ravens, right? Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, even Mark Ingram. Some of the more efficient years that Mark Ingram has had is with Lamar. And I think that is maybe a case for why does Damian Harris take a step back in efficiency. But on the flip side, now does he take over some of that red zone volume where I don't think they run as much? Obviously, they have a running quarterback that's left. But does he get more of or all-ish of the red zone work? I'm not sold that he gets a big bump. I feel like some people are starting to push him up into like the fourth round, Chris Carson area. I was listening to a pod this morning, a major platform, and they were like talking about how he is up there above Miles Sanders, above Josh Jacobs. And I'm just like, that seems wild to me. And this is a big site that's talking about this. And so I feel like, and the poll I did, everyone says it helps, right? Everyone says this is a bump to him. Now, how much of a bump, I think that's to be debated. But I honestly think this is kind of a net neutral where the Ramondre Stevenson is still going to kind of take the Sony Michel role. James White, that's a great point, Cody, that you made. James White, if anyone could have benefited from this, it's the pass-catching running back who's going to play on third down, right? Mac Jones, rookie, he's absolutely going to dump it off more than Cam Newton did. But yeah, I don't know how much this helps Damian Harris. I'm not moving him in my rankings, Cody. I don't know if you've moved him at all in yours.
No, not necessarily moving him, but he's just one of the pieces that I'm interested in. I'm not going to be moving him up. I think he's going to be that back end RB2 for me, just because I do think his pass catching is going to be limited. Seems like Ramondre Stevenson, the Titanic boat that he has been playing well enough that he's going to have a role. And we all know to not really trust a New England Bill Belichick running back. So, and yeah, I'm with Sir Kevin Steele here. Jacoby Myers season. I
agree. Tom, you are a Nelson Aguilar guy. Why do you like Nelson Aguilar a little bit more than Jacoby Myers?
Because he's not on the Eagles.
No. Well, yeah.
Truth.
Yeah. So last year, Nelson had I don't have his deep ball efficiency or whatever, but he was used pretty well when he was going down my words are not good tonight.
It's the vino. The vino's back.
It's not even the vino. It's just it's the sun has fried my fucking brain. So sorry about that, guys. Just picked up a viewer though, so there we go. It's all about me being a dumbass, and we lost him. All right, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, no, Nelson Aguilar was good last year in Vegas when they pushed the ball down the field to him. I feel like they need that deep threat there. I don't know if Jacoby Myers is necessarily that. I think he's going to be more of your possession guy where he's probably going to lead the team in targets. So I still feel like he's going to be the wide receiver one there, but especially in best ball formats, I like Nelson Aguilar a lot more than I did yesterday with Mac Jones.
Yep. For those following along, drop in the comments, do you like Jonnu or Hunter Henry more? And then Jacoby or Nelson Aguilar, or option C, someone we have not mentioned yet. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that offense as we see a little bit of a change from Cam Newton to Mac Jones. The next thing I had on the list, guys, I think it's really interesting because Kevin and I have gone back and forth on this. Cody, you kind of jumped in as well. Saquon Barclay, his availability for week one is kind of in question. A blurb came out on NBC Sports Edge, and I'm curious, are you guys Cody, I think you and I are kind of the same mindset, but maybe Tom, are you still like Saquon Barclay is still kind of a top 5 guy in your mind? Because I think I've seen some people start to move him down, into the running back 8, running back 9, running back 10 range because we're not sure what he's going to be week 1, 2, or 3. The first quarter of the season. Where do you sit with Saquon Barclay right now? Well,
He hated it so much that he just bounced. He just didn't even care. He's like, you know what, I've had enough. To me, this doesn't really change anything. Like you know what I mean? Like I think his week 1 availability should have always kind of been in should have been in question, or at least a reduced role, right? So like for me, I'm not going to move him up or down based on this, just because I think even if he was available, we weren't going to get the 100% Saquon experience anyway. So it shouldn't come as a surprise. Like, he was taken off of PUP, but I'm still not sure if he's done, like, if he did any like live tackling or anything like that. So this really shouldn't be a surprise. It's kind of the trajectory that he had been on the entire time.
I don't know like the full levels of practice and coming out of an injury, but he's done live drills, but he's done non-contact. So I don't know what that means, but he's either done live drills with a non-contact jersey and no one's touched him, but it's been against different teams, so I don't know how that works. So apparently he's done live reps, but has not gone in contact yet. And I think that's kind of a big deal, seeing as we're, a week and a half from the season starting. I think this is kind of going down the trend that I thought it would, that we might not see Barkley really just maybe even further than I thought, where I thought he'd probably be ready to roll week 1, but he's not going to get the full workload. Maybe he's not even he's questionable for week 1, I would say right now. Tom, how about you?
Hey, how you doing? I took a little vacation for the pod. Since I'm on vacation, I decided to click the wrong button, so to speak. So I'm back. What's going on? Yeah, so the question was,
some might say,
Saquon Barkley still a top 5 running back. I didn't have him as a top 5 running back before the injury news came out. So I have him between 8 and 11 at the moment, probably. So it's a little scary as far as like what you're saying. I'm not spending a top 8 pick on him probably in redraft.
Kev Steele, if you are still in the comments, let us know if you have moved on Barkley. If I know Kev Steele, Mr. I Hate Take Glock, he has probably moved off of Saquon Barkley. Isn't that the Kev that you know, Cody?
He's probably moved off him, but he's probably moved him to 1.
Yes, that's fair. That's fair.
just digging in and going the opposite direction. Definitely not down. He already moved him down to 3. Did you see? He went from 2 to 3. I'm pretty sure. He did. He thought he could just slide that one in, but I'm pretty sure if you check the site, I think he has him at 3.
Please.
So who does he have? Who does he have at 1 and 2? CMC and James Robinson.
Yes, that's most likely it. That's probably who he moved him down for. That's a great call.
Yeah, good call, Tom.
Thank you.
So, Deshaun,
what about your boy Miles Sanders? Can we finally stop this silliness with, first it was, hey, we need to bump him down because they brought in Kerryon Johnson. They brought in Jordan Howard. We need to bump him down. Can't do this. They've both been cut. Can we finally stop the silliness?
If you were smart, you never got in on the silliness. Like, I was always so confused with Jordan Howard and fucking Kerryon taking it. Like, well, what? Huh? No. It's Gainwell, Boston Scott. They're going to steal some receptions from him, but he's going to be the main guy who's going to be carrying the ball. If you've paid attention to anything with training camp this offseason, Miles Sanders has looked fantastic when he's running, the ball. Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell have looked like, dog shit when running the ball, but catching the ball, they're doing really good. So expect him not to have as many receptions as you might think. Plus, he's got a case of the dropsies, but he's still going to get the targets there. But yeah, you shouldn't have really been fading on Miles Sanders anyway. Just craziness to me. Plus, their offensive line is healthy. It looks good. Landon Dickerson not on the PUP to start the season, too. That's another big one. So he's taken up one of the top 53 roster spots, which means he will probably begin cross-training at the center position if Kelsey goes down, and then if one of the guards go down, which inevitably they probably will, he's going to be able to step in, and if he is healthy, he's a damn mauler. So I think that line is ready to rock again. Sirianni's going to want to run the ball, and that's Miles Sanders. So you should not have been off of him to start with.
Yeah, he's a guy I feel like I have too low. I just don't know where to put him. So I'm gonna ask you guys. I'm gonna give you guys two names: Miles Sanders or this person. Tell me one word answer who you prefer, because I like this game. So I want to see where he fits in with some of these guys going. I'd say in the late third, early fourth, mid fourth round. So let's go: Chris Carson or Miles Sanders.
Miles.
Chris Carson?
Chris Carson? Question mark. Okay.
Oh,
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron
penny
Burgundy.
season.
People listening, also please chime in with who you choose. Make sure you know who you're choosing them over, because I want to hear kind of from everybody where they're sliding in. Miles Sanders. Not saying that the Jordan Howard news should affect much, but it literally. Who's going to steal any carries from him? They're going to work in Boston Scott. They're going to work in Kenny Gainwell later in the year. I think it's just really the pass downs that you're affected with here. But here's the next one for you: Mike Davis or Miles Sanders.
Sanders.
Miles.
Okay. James Robinson or Miles Sanders.
Fucking tie. Probably Miles.
Cody's close as well.
But they're really close.
Okay. And then Miles Sanders or Josh Jacobs.
Miles.
Daddy.
And Daddy wins that one from Carson. No, I do have one more. Miles Sanders or Gus Edwards, because I think we're going to get to Gus Edwards, even though that news is a little bit old. I do want to touch on that one a little bit.
Ooh.
Sanders or Gus Edwards? Yes. Carson,
hey, buddy.
Do you like Miles Sanders or Gus Edwards?
Is that you? Are you right there?
He's muted. We need to hear him, Cody.
We thought we were going to just skate right by the terrible twos, and now that we are approaching three, we have a bipolar child. I can't read it. He was upstairs throwing a tantrum just 5 minutes ago, and Katie let him out of the room, and now he's perfectly fine. Everything is great in the Kutzer household, and it's 10:30, and he's just running rampant and going absolutely insane.
It looks like the chosen rose is really siding with a lot of these other than Miles Sanders. So kind of opposite of you, Tom. I think you picked Sanders on most of these. Josh Jacobs. Finally, with Gus Edwards, he gets kind of close.
I don't understand why the Josh Jacobs is a lull. That's kind of funny. So you're naming guys that are all in the same tier. You're not going outside of that tier there with like that 15 to like 22 tier, 23 tier, which is about where you're at for me. You can re-rank them and rearrange them any way you want, and you're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like the Gus Edwards and Miles one is really tough. I think the James Robinson and Miles one is really tough. I prefer him over Josh Jacobs because the Eagles have a better line, and I prefer him over Chris Carson because I have no idea what the fuck to do with the Seahawks this year, because who knows? Do the Seahawks know what the fuck they're going to do this year? I really don't know. And I think Sirianni is going to want to come in and run the ball. So with doing more RPOs, which is what they're going to do with Jalen Hurts, that's going to lead to more opportunities for Miles Sanders. And he's the primary running back there, especially considering they got rid of Jordan Howard and Kerryon Johnson. Ooh. And they only have pass-catching running backs left there. So Miles is going to get more touches than a lot of other people. So, I mean, I like Gus Edwards, but they're close. Like, I'm not going to hedge. I don't like Josh Jacobs. Was the Josh Jacobs lull a no?
He was like, I was laughing off Josh Jacobs. Like, he's not an option. Please, Josh Jacobs, lol.
Josh Jacobs, a peasant.
Oh, please, Josh Jacobs.
Let's get to this. Let's get to this trade question from V. Locken. Someone sent me a trade. Should I do it? Saquon and Robert Woods for Henry and Elijah Moore. For me, whether this is dynasty or redraft, I want the Saquon trade.
Get shit on. Get shit on. Sorry, guys. Your ass. That's what I feel like I just listened to on bikes driving by. This is just pure entertainment. What the hell is going on right now?
You're picking between Saquon and Woods versus Henry and Elijah Moore.
I know. What did Cody finish talking? I thought he abruptly stopped.
He abruptly stopped for you to start talking.
Yeah, because you were saying get shit on. What was I supposed to do when you start yelling get shit on?
Just ignore me. You normally do.
Tom, who you got?
I apologize. Go ahead.
I will take the Saquon Woods side because really this comes down to the first two, right? Saquon and Henry. And I think they're pretty close for me. I do have Henry over Saquon because I'm a little bit worried about the multiple risks with Saquon. But I do think they're close enough where I prefer Robert Woods leaps and bounds, right? We're talking about 4, 5, 6-ish rounds, maybe more over Elijah Moore. So that tandem that you get for only moving down maybe a little bit with Saquon, I absolutely like that better. I don't know which side you are, V-locking, but I would do Saquon and Woods, whatever side that needs to be.
Yeah, the Saquon and Woods side is definitely for this year, I think. And it's weird because you have Saquon, who's probably going to start off slow, and Elijah Moore, who's probably going to start off slow just because he's a rookie. And then you have Henry versus Saquon. It almost balances everything out. So but for this year, I'm going Saquon and Robert Woods. 4 years from now, Elijah Moore is probably going to be the best piece, maybe, because the other 3 guys are cooked. But if you're a contender, I'm definitely going for Saquon and Robert Woods because of Robert Woods.
Okay. So Saquon and Woods for you on that V-locking.
Then we got Kyle Ellis with a keeper league PPR 10 team. Would you trade DK for McLaurin, Juju, Connor, 4th round pick, 6th round pick? 4th round guys in the draft next year will be better than a usual 4th rounder.
If you're getting a 4th round pick and a 6th round pick,
keep 3. So it looks like DK for McLaurin, Juju, Connor, a 4th and a 6th.
Give me the McLaurin side.
Yeah, it's tough to know because I don't know the penalty for keeping players. I don't know how many people will keep 1 or 2 or 3, right? So it's really tough. If you have to keep 3, we know that 36 guys are coming off the board, then you're – but he says the 4th round will be better than a usual 4th round, which I guess I don't fully understand that because normally in a keeper, right, it's going to be worse because all these guys that get kept – are going to be off already. So it's tough there, but the drop off from DK to McLaurin is relatively low. Wouldn't you guys say? Like we're talking about, I have DK top 7 in my rankings and I have McLaurin at 10 or 11. I think right behind A-Rob, he's probably wide receiver 11. So I don't think it's that big of a drop off.
No. And then you get Juju to boot.
So here's the clarification. No penalty, just keep 3. And then the draft starts in the 4th round.
Oh, so that's like your first round. It'd be a first round pick.
He's going to have essentially 2 firsts and 2 thirds.
That's a solid take the McLaurin.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's a lot of people to get. McLaurin, Juju, Connor, 4th, 6th. I don't know if he will keep all those pieces, but Lordy, yeah, that's a good trade.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for this year, McLaurin versus Metcalf for me is almost a wash, like you said, and then you get Juju.
Yeah,
and then you get essentially a 1st round pick next year. That's someone who really, really wants DK to keep forever. Also, the rules of like where you keep people, is it just they're off the board?
No penalty. Just keep 3.
Penalty? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah.
I think that what that means is everyone has to pick.
You can keep them forever. Yep. There's nothing about like, okay, you can keep them for 3 years, 2 years. You keep this guy in the 8th, this guy in the 5th. So I am in a keeper league where if you pick somebody in the 8th round, they're a 5th round keeper the next year. So it moves up 3 rounds every year until eventually you can't keep them anymore. If you're in a league like that and you can keep them forever, I still like McLaurin. So
hey Tom, we're done. We're done with that question. We're moving on. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Really quick. Can we all just take a second to remember that Juju Smith-Schuster turned down the same amount of money from the Chiefs to stay with dusty ass, crusty ass Big Ben.
He could have went to Kev's Chiefs. He could have replaced Cornell Powell, who was cut today. He could have been wide receiver 5 on that team behind Mecole, behind Pringle, behind Demarcus Robinson. Gosh, best wide receiver 5 in the league, huh, Kev?
Yep. What's up, boys?
So, Kev, you are. This has been your specialty. I'll throw this one to you, fresh coming in. This is from the Chosen Rose. He wants to get
what is going on at your house? It sounds like your house is being destroyed by your child.
It is. I'm just gonna talk over it. We're just gonna keep going. He's playing with his 18,000 cars that my wife insists on buying him new ones every time they go to the store. So he just you want to talk about walking around your house and just stepping on death all the time? That my house is a booby trap, and the solar system of this is horseshit.
I want your address. I'm gonna buy you some jacks.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Some Legos?
Yeah, why not?
Carson, you're wild, man. You wild.
He looks 100% like you. No worries there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No milkman child.
Thank
I
God
was gonna
wasn't
say it's not the mailman's child, but then I was like, well, shit.
It is. So all the mocks for the Chosen Rose have him going Eckler and Gibson or Najee. You can get Woods in the third. Kev, your thoughts?
Love it. I don't know if I would take Woods in the third round, but I do love Austin Eckler and Najee or Gibson. I think that is it's been the tough part for me because I want to just go one running back in the first and then skip wide receiver, but I love those running backs in that range so much that it's really hard for me to do so. Every time I've done best ball drafts or any mock and I'm picking in the back half, I just can't. I can't not pick one of those 2 running backs every single time that I come through there. Early, it's 100% the play is just to go running back, and then after that, go straight to wide receiver. But overall, yeah, I love that start. I just other than I probably wouldn't go Woods in the third, but
Then there was another talking.
What does he think? What would he go with?
Carson, do you want Austin Eckler or Najee or Gibson?
Gibson.
Yeah, smart kid.
My boy.
Smart kid.
That's my boy. That's my boy. Gibson.
And it
Let's
seemed
go.
like he was going Eckler or
Gibson for sure.
He's Gibson.
Is that Gibson? I don't think that's Gibson.
If you had, I guess he's saying it or. So how would you rank him? Which 2 would you go with there?
First 2, Eckler and Gibby.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'd be fine with Najee, but Eckler and Gibson.
Assuming that it's PPR.
Mixon is all starting to creep up as well. So I would also be throwing Mixon in the mix in here as well.
Yeah, I got so
what about
weird home league fact? It's a keeper league. We had keepers and everything, and somehow I landed Joe Mixon at 21, and I was livid because Antonia Gibson went 1 pick in front of me because of the way the keepers are set up. Gibson's fallen to me, and I'm sitting there having a conniption, and my consolation prize was Joe Mixon, but I don't know why. It's just public is not as high as Antonia Gibson as it should be.
Yeah, it's weird, and I think some of it too is fueled into the fact that the preseason snaps where McKissick was getting got more third down snaps than Antonio Gibson. I really don't care about preseason snaps,
No.
So it doesn't really bother me any. But I think that has something to do with it. The people think that he's going to have a bigger role. But the one guy that I feel like that is always routinely not talked about in this range, that's always he's there, but there's no excitement, or I should say there's not nearly as much excitement around him as Jonathan Taylor. And I mean, it is, I think, kind of ridiculous because I mean, the guy is obviously uber talented. And if this offense ascends and the offensive line can stay healthy. It sounds like Quentin Nelson is good. That, I mean, we really could be talking about a top 3 running back that's just kind of just there, right? Like there hasn't been a lot of drumbeat for Jonathan Taylor this year. And some of it's because of the injury that happened to Carson Wentz and, Quentin Nelson early in the process. But still, like, it's always just kind of been like, I'd take him in the back half of the first, early second, whatever. But there's just no, like, real excitement for Jonathan Taylor. And I think that could be a mistake. Because, I mean, he is definitely talented enough to be a true 3-down workhorse back.
It's really funny because he's just like, people are like, blah, Jonathan Taylor, I guess I'll take him there. Like, that's what people feel, I feel like.
Yeah, no, that's a name that you haven't heard in a while, right? Like, we've done quite a few shows, and I don't know if we brought him up enough because he's fallen because of the Wentz injury, because of Quentin Nelson, like you said, and now they're both back, healthy. Obviously, Wentz is on the COVID list, but should be back for week 1. And so that injury, the COVID dip, whatever you want to call it, has happened. But I think the problem with him is that you still have Nyheim Hines, and I'm going to assume Jordan Wilkins is all the way out of there now, right? It's just going to be Nyheim Hines. And I think the people are just kind of nervous about that pass catching work for him. But he is the type of guy in that offense with that line that can get absolutely double-digit touchdowns. He almost reminds me as a better Josh Jacobs, who was running back 8 or 9 last year, where he scored a lot of touchdowns, didn't have a lot of receptions. So I feel like he is probably a very, very, very safe top 10 running back that has, like Kev, like you're saying, I think he can get up to that top 4, top 3 if he gets to the 12 touchdowns and gets you 30 receptions or something like that, if Nyheim Hines doesn't take that full third down role from him. So that's a good name that we haven't brought up in a while.
Well, and I think it's not even that. I'll throw this at you, you guys, is that Nick Chubb is getting far more hype than what Jonathan Taylor is. And, I mean, Kareem Hunt is there, right? I mean, so – It doesn't equate to me. And I love Nick Chubb. I love Nick Chubb, the player. I think he's one of the best running backs in the league. But like the Nick Chubb hype has gotten too far for me. Like, I love Nick Chubb. Like, taking Nick Chubb back like early second, yes, I'm about that life. But taking Nick Chubb 108, 107, no, thank you. That is too high, in my opinion, because you're almost drafting him right where his probably his ceiling is. I don't think, unless an injury happens to Kareem Hunt, I don't think you can reasonably say that Nick Chubb can be the RB1. I don't think it's in the range of outcomes. I don't think he has that legendary upside that you're looking for if you're taking a running back in the first round, because he is capped by not catching passes, right? And so you look at Jonathan Taylor, where I think Jonathan Taylor has more opportunity as a pass catcher than what Nick Chubb is going to have. I mean, if you look at Taylor last year at 40 targets, which isn't anything to be super excited about, but I think you could probably realistically see a bump for him, even if he can get to 60, 65 targets. I think that is enough. I mean, he doesn't have. I don't think this year with Nyheim Hines, I don't think he has the RB1 upside, but I think he definitely has top 5 upside. But I just think it's kind of egregious that nobody's really talking about him.
Yeah, and that 30 to 40, reception range for him is not without it. It's not out of the realm at all. So, and the other thing, going back to Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt averaged about 13.5 points with and without Nick Chubb last year. So if he goes out, then yeah, sure, Nick Chubb to the moon. But until he's there, he's cutting off a big, big, big piece.
No, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, I don't like this. We're agreeing way too much lately. It's fucked up.
What do you guys think about this squad here from
He's just
William?
flexing. That's all it is. Just in here flexing. He just came through to be like, look how great this is. And he's just gonna leave. Like that's all he needs to do.
I don't understand how he got all of these humans. There has to be something else, right?
Well, because you had to have. Well, I guess I could see. I'm trying to play this out because like I could see maybe Kamara fell, right? Maybe fell, and you got Kamara, and then you'd have to probably get Diggs. In the second,
Was it
I would
Diggs
think.
or Najee? And then Ridley, I don't understand.
No, because
Excellent
Ridley.
work. Hey,
it is.
Excellent work. I'm not gonna be one of those people that be like, what is this, a 14 league? Like excellent job. Excellent job. Your coworkers are trash. Yes, they are. Is it for money? Is it for money? They're William. Is it Sir William? Is it for money?
Sir William of Hanby. So it
Yeah,
wasn't.
and
It wasn't
also,
that.
what do you do for a living that these people don't know this shit? Because I might be switching my career field and starting a big money league in whatever job that is.
Yes.
He said it was. He said it was in this order that they're listed.
How do you, even Ridley in the fourth? I don't know. Like,
It's
all
just
of them.
people don't. It's the name.
So going back to Chosen Rose and what he was saying earlier, do you guys have a strong opinion? Walito coming through strong, as always.
Facts.
It was me.
Facts. 100% facts, Walito.
You guys have a strong opinion on Cups over Woods. Like I don't. I'm fine with taking the cheaper option. Like I really don't have a strong feeling on one or the other. But do you guys have like okay, I definitely want this one over the other one?
Kev does.
I mean, I love Cooper Kupp this year. I don't think it's not like a landslide or anything like that, because I do think both of them have a wide receiver one upside, and so I don't think it's a large gap. I know last year you look at really the literal only thing that separated them. Their numbers were absolutely identical down the line, outside of one number, and that's touchdowns. Where Kupp, I think, had 3 and Woods had 8 or 9. Right, that's literally the only thing that separated them last year. And if you go back to the year before, it was switched where Kupp outscored him. And so I think they're both where Woods is going, I can't do, because there's wide receivers there. They're going typically in the third round that I would just much rather have. 130 buy-in. Let's go. Hey,
Good for you. Get him
killing it, William. Hey, money in your pocket. Christmas come early. What's the rest of your team look like? I mean, I know you started off great, but what's the rest of the team look like? I just want to know. But
Actually,
yeah,
hold
for
on.
me,
So championship week's going to be after Christmas this year now, isn't it? Because of the extra.
oh, it
games.
is. Yeah. It's championship for, unless people, don't adjust. But yeah, it would be right after you just party hard on New Year's Eve, because it's like the second.
Right. It's going to be one of those where, well, I'm going to buy some extra Christmas presents and assume I'm just going to be really good. All right. Godspeed.
So anyway, I do think it's I do prefer Kupp at his ADP, but in the third round, give me CeeDee Lamb, give me Allen Robinson. What did you just do?
When you said CeeDee Lamb in the third, I got excited.
Oh, I thought you were like trying to. I was like, oh wait, do you want to argue that CeeDee Lamb is not should not be going in the third? I mean, because I'm ready to argue if that's what you were going to do, but you weren't. You weren't. Okay.
CeeDee Lamb.
The people that have Amari over CeeDee are just like, I'm like, get out of here, stop it. You're trying to be cute, okay? In no world should CeeDee be going below.
Here's a good one. So you have CeeDee Lamb's over for receiving yards is 1050, and Amari is 1175. What do you make of that?
That you should smash the over for CeeDee Lamb. The only way he doesn't go over that is an injury.
Yeah, obviously. So
because we also have to factor in the extra game that we're talking about here, right?
I know.
I mean, I would take it in a normal 16-game season. So you tell me, you give me an extra one? Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll take it.
Kev, I now have money, and it's not just like $10. It's probably like $250 tied up on his over for yards, 83.5 receptions, and 6.5 touchdowns. Like, I don't understand. Like, just smash all of them. Cotarino and I agree a bit on that one.
You should. I mean, because I think when you look at CeeDee this year, I mean, last year he played primarily in the slot. Like, that's not going to happen this year. They are going to move him all over the field, and with a full year of Dak, I just think
I think one thing to take away from it is Amari, Vegas still loves him. And there's a reason. So he's still going to be involved. They're just going to throw enough to support 2 wide receivers to get, 2,400 yards a piece, or not a piece, but you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, I'm not knocking Amari Cooper. I still think Amari Cooper can be a top 15 wide receiver for sure. But
Yeah. Chill on the Amari Cooper hate there, Kev. We have a question to get to from Cody. Cody has been waiting for a second. He has a 10-team PPR league. They're going to keep 3 guys here. He's keeping Swift in the 5th round, Eckler in the 7th, and Deontay for a 12th round pick. He's trying to figure out who he wants to take at the 101. Barkley, Travis Kelce, or Najee. Who do you guys think he should take for the 101? He already has Swift, Eckler, and Deontay, so 2 running backs and a wide receiver. Cody, who are you pushing him towards?
Oh boy, because they can be kept for. He follows it up with kept in the round which they're drafting can be kept for their entire career. So I mean, I would lean either Eckler or Deontay, but with Eckler, like how much longer is he going to put up because he's what, like 27, 28 years old already.
Well, he's already
like
locked in those guys. Those are the guys he's keeping.
That's not his question.
Deontay are who's keeping. Who would you take, Barkley, Kelce, or Najee?
Deontay in the 12th. I'm not even a Deontay guy, and I like that.
Oh, yeah.
You should be a Deontay guy.
Well,
We've talked.
we can't all have.
I don't understand how I haven't swayed you with all the numbers I throw at you with it.
I'll answer.
Go ahead.
I'm taking Kelce here. I think you have 2 solid. I don't know if this is a PPR, but I think you have 2 solid PPR backs, even half PPR. I love that. And I think I'm going Kelce here because you're just going to set yourself apart now at the tight end position. If you didn't have 2 stud running backs there that you were very confident in the PPR league, then you're looking at Barkley and Najee. But I'm thinking Kelce is right there with Barkley for me. I have Najee in the 2nd round, so he's already behind him to begin with. So it was kind of between Barkley and Kelce, and with the 2 running backs already locked up, this is Kelce easy for me.
That's where I'm going to.
Any disagreement?
I do, yeah.
Please state your case for Barkley. Go ahead.
Well, it's not even necessarily Barkley. I think you can make a case for Najee, too. I mean, we're talking about a keeper league that they can keep for their entire career, right? And so this isn't just like a one-year deal. If we're talking about just this year, I guess you could make that case. But considering we're talking about one, I mean, how much longer do you think Travis Kelce is dominant? I mean, he's 32 years old or about to be 32 years old.
Keeper in the 1st probably doesn't matter, because these guys, if they're good, they're going to go in the 1st. So keeper probably doesn't matter for this question.
But
it matters for years to come. I mean, it matters in all.
Probably not, because if you're going to lose your 1st, you're going to get an equivalent player back that's probably close to Barkley or close to Najee. I get there's
true, but who here has that? Would you say that has the biggest chance to suffer a ADP dip where all of a sudden they're not worth that anymore?
I'm playing for money, and I want the positional advantage of winning this year, and then I'm going to trust in the fact that I can draft good players a little bit later, especially in a 1 QB 10 team. You're going to be able to get some really good
10 team. You have to set yourself apart at the QB and the tight end. This is the best way to do that at tight end.
Yeah, but I would assume that I would be willing to bet that all of the other top running backs are gone.
He's got 2, and they're not old.
Who says he can't get Javonte later in that draft? Who says he can't get Trey Sermon later in that draft? He can't get a younger guy. Because if Najee's going in the 1st, I'm assuming Javonte's going in the 2nd or 3rd. Trey Sermon's going in the 3rd or 4th. I think he can still get a quality young running back, and he doesn't have to take a Najee. I get your point. We're talking about multiple years, but Kelce, I don't see Kelce falling off the next 2 to 3 years. So I think you're fine, even if you're looking at it from like a dynasty-like, keeper-like mindset. I'm not projecting Kelce to fall off for the next couple years.
It's definitely close. I mean, I get the argument for Kelce. I mean, he's been number 1 in fantasy points per game among tight ends the last 3 years in a row. So, and to me, when it comes to Barkley and Najee, I mean, they're like almost identical in terms of age. So that age doesn't really matter because they're Barkley's like 9 months older than he is.
Yeah.
I would go Saquon. But I get the argument for going Kelce.
So good chance you don't
I
win this
would
year.
lean Saquon as well.
All right, Kittle. You know what, though? You could trade Kelce to one of them and set yourself up for the next 3 years.
For what though? You're not getting CMC Kamara for Kelsey.
No, but apparently that guy drafts pretty well. So if he does again, then if he has a Javante a little bit later or somebody like that, you can. So Kelsey in a redraft in a 10-team league is such an advantage that if you are going to trade him, you're going to be able to trade him for future picks, good young players,
Future picks
that are behind other players. Yeah, because so in my keeper league, I can trade future picks. I can trade, like last year, I traded my first round pick to get DeAndre Hopkins or something like that, and I wound up winning a bunch of money because of that. So if you can do something like that, then yeah, you're going to be able to get Kelsey or trade Kelsey away and come back with a lot more, especially if you wait until like week 11 or something like that and you trade him to a contender.
I don't think that's usually at most keepers. I usually don't work that way. That you can just go ahead and trade whatever picks you want. But I'm sure you could. I just don't think it's not as common in keeper leagues.
Hey,
so Robbie and Tom, we're not really being helpful. Robbie and Tom, you guys are both taking Kelsey, and Kevin and I are both leaning Saquon. I get it for Kelsey either. So if my thought, Cody, would be if you are leaning one guy toward the other, like use your gut as the tiebreaker here. We're obviously not taking Najee, so I could also see the argument for taking Kelsey just to have that positional advantage. But like I said, it's 2-2 here. Oh my God, I thought that was my child falling down the stairs. 2-2 here. If somebody in the comments wants to help us break the tie, help Cody out here, that'd be nice. And we have another one here, a dynasty question from Chaser. Mark Ingram, Johnson, both projected behind Lindsey. Would you keep one over the other or get rid of both?
I don't think you need to get rid of them. Would be my first thing. Like, do you have to cut them? Is there a reason why you have to get rid of them? I think you let the
situation. What's available on waivers would be.
They're both available in waivers.
I'm saying like what is available of like why you would drop them.
Great question. I wouldn't get rid of either. I don't think it's a great situation, especially with it being committee and probably one of the worst offenses in the NFL. And both of those individuals are older, so you're not looking at a great asset in either Ingram or Johnson. But I'll take the pass catching option of the two, the better pass catching option of the two, and David Johnson. Philip Lindsay has not shown that, so most likely David Johnson will get more of that work. So I will David Johnson, but neither of these guys are long for your team. They're probably both going to be off your team in the next year or so.
Yeah, if you're going to keep one, I agree, Johnson as well.
Yes.
Just kind of you got one here. Mike Davis, Gus, and Damian Harris. Looking to trade 2 or 3 for a receiver or a tight end. How do you – so we had this conversation earlier, Kev. You might have heard it when you were jumping in the comments. We were kind of ranking Damian Harris versus some of these other – or Miles Sanders versus some of these other running backs. And I feel like people have vaulted Damian Harris into this tier of running backs with Mike Davis, with Gus, with Jacobs and Sanders and all these guys. Of these 3 good names, Mike Davis, Gus, Damian Harris, let's rank them just real quick. Let's make this a kind of a quick question. Rank them quickly, and then who would you maybe target as a wide receiver or tight end if you were picking 2 of them to trade away? Kev, you first.
Well, first thing I would say is unless you're going to get Darren Waller or Travis Kelce, don't trade any of them for a tight end. Or if you do, trade one, I guess, if you wanted to. But I just can't do it. I'd rather just stream the position. Unless you're getting one of the cheat codes at tight end, I can't do it. And I think it's going to take more than Mike Davis or Gus Edwards or Damian Harris to make that happen. So I guess you could go wide receiver, but still, I would want to know what the rest of your team looks like before you're trading away two of these guys. But for me, it's going to be I'm assuming again it's PPR because there was no specification here. If it's PPR, it's Mike Davis, and then is definitely ahead of both of those guys, just because I think his pass catching upside is real. There's nobody else there that's taking touches away from him. So for Mike Davis, I think that, 70, 80, 90 targets is – no, 90 is probably too high. So 70 or 80 I think is probably targets I think is fair for him, somewhere in that range. So I do not mind doing that. And then I think past that, I think then it comes down to Gus Edwards and Damian Harris. And it's still probably Gus Edwards for me because right now, I mean, they've said that they have no interest in – they're not bringing in anybody else. And so I know people are still like, oh, they're going to. But – we've heard from multiple people now, and even John Harbaugh himself to say that they're not bringing anybody else in. They're happy with Tyson Williams and Justice Hill. And so I would be then Gus Edwards, and then I like Damian Harris. But I know you guys mentioned like Miles Sanders. Like Miles Sanders way ahead of all these guys. The Miles Sanders hate this offseason has been absolutely ridiculous to me. It's absolutely ridiculous. But regardless, for this question, it's definitely Mike Davis, and then it's Gus Edwards, and then it's Damian Harris.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that, Kev, because I feel like the same way. But you have Miles Sanders at 20. I have him at 19. Cody has him at 20. Like, I feel like we're all just going to look at it's kind of what you said about J.K. Dobbins. You're like, this is a guy that we could look back on, and we were too low on him. And I feel like that's what's going to happen with Miles Sanders. But continuing on this question, I think the guy you need to kind of look for as a trade target is a wide receiver that's not getting a lot of hype right now. And it's actually a guy that you mentioned before. You'll take CeeDee Lamb over Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper, because of the injury and because of CeeDee Lamb's hype right now, he's kind of a lower name. He's going as wide receiver 18-ish in ADP. Christian and I did a round-by-round ADP video, and he's going in the fourth round, kind of mid to late fourth round. And I think that's a guy that if you pair up two of these guys or maybe one of these guys and another name, you can probably swing and get Amari Cooper back. And I think that will really help your wide receiver room, Giants 26. So that would be a guy that I'd look to target, a guy that I think can be top 12, top 14-ish as a wide receiver, but he doesn't have the hype right now. And so I think you can move off of one or two of these guys and make that switch.
Well, I would want context in this as well, like Giants 26. What's the rest of your team look like? Right? Because why do you think you need to go out and trade one of these guys now for a wide receiver or a tight end for that matter? And who do you have now? Who do you have now? And that's a lot easier to make this decision of what you should actually go after.
This is what I said, Walito. This is what I said in the pre-show. We were waiting for it to start. I said, this is going to be great when someone asks a question and they don't direct it to a certain person and everyone's just waiting for the other person to talk and there's just crickets. So, Tom, thank you for bringing the sound effects to the pod.
You're welcome. I try. And Amari Cooper was also one of those targets I was looking at there. DJ Moore's another one who's just being undervalued. So, I mean, if you can get one of those guys for the two of those running backs, and I have the same ranking that Kev does. Kevin, this is really getting annoying that I can't argue with you constantly. I don't like it.
I've got something for you guys. Would you guys trade a Mike Davis or maybe even a Gus Edwards, because I think they're a tier above Damian Harris still? Would you trade one of those two guys? Because I'm going to assume he has a better running back, right? He didn't draft Gus Edwards early. He didn't draft Damian Harris early. Mike Davis is a fifth-round guy, right? So he probably has one, maybe even two running backs above this guy. Would you trade one of these running backs for a TJ Hawkinson or Mark Andrews? Kev, you and I did the throwdown. They're both fifth-round ADP guys. Would you trade one of them? Let's say your tight ends like Tyler Higbee or worse. Tyler Higbee, Jonnu Smith, Robert Tonyan, somebody in the 8 to 14 range. Would you trade one of these running backs, either Davis or the other name, and acquire a Hawkinson or an Andrews?
No, but this is why. Because I feel like that most of those running backs you just mentioned have, I think, they're probably going to score from 4 to 16 fantasy points a game, right? It's some 16 may be a little high, but let's say even 13 to 15 fantasy points a game, right? If they perform like we think, chances are TJ Hawkinson isn't hitting that. I mean, you're looking at like 10 fantasy points a game, right? For the most part. I mean, outside of, I don't know what you look at me like I'm crazy for. I mean, unless he's well, I saw that.
Just my face. So it's good. I'm glad that I'm like, I don't understand how we keep agreeing on things, and now this happens. So this is fun. Go on.
No, I was just saying that. So for me, I just can't do that trade for a tight end. That's why I wouldn't. unless they're going to throw something else in, like another piece, a bench piece or something like that to sweeten the deal. I can't do it because one, running back is the hardest position. It's the hard with all the injuries and everything that happened. Like I want running backs. I don't really care if I don't get Kelsey or Waller. I don't really give a shit about the tight end position at that point. It's garbage. It's hot garbage. Past that, right? I mean, you look at even Hawkinson last year was a top 5 tight end. What was his numbers? Like 700 yards and 6 touchdowns or something. So for me, like there's just not that big of an edge unless you're getting one of those two, and it's going to take a lot more than those running backs to get Kelsey or Waller. That I can't do it, and there's no point in messing with it. Just stream the position at that point. You don't need that tight end as much as you think that you do.
So here's the deal. I'm going to take it in context to Giants 26, and I'm going to assume that he has a running back that's above those guys. And they're the RB2, RB3, or 4. And in that circumstance, Kev, are you doing that? Because I don't think there's a reason that you can't not do that. If what you're trading away, your RB3 or 4, and you have those other guys to step in that tier, how can you say no to getting Hawk or Andrews for one of those guys?
I mean, I get Kev's side of it where he's saying we know the running back position, right? They get hurt. You're going to start 2, probably have a flex. Maybe people have 2 flexes, and sometimes the running back is the better person to start there because they can get catch passes and get the receiving or the running work, right? So what Kev is saying is the depth, it's the most scarce position. I get that argument. I guess my counter is kind of what you're about to say or what you're asking here is if it's his running back 4 with I forget who the second name was other than Mike Davis. Or if it's
Damian Harris, Gus Edwards,
right? Yep. So if it's Mike Davis, Gus Edwards, I'll trade away a Damian Harris, who there is a floor that people aren't talking about right now. That he's just in a complete timeshare with Ramondre Stevenson and James White, and it's not even that great of an offense. Maddie with TFA on the DFS side and I were talking back and forth, and we know this is a bottom 6 offense last year. We both think it'll be a little bit better, but this is probably still a bottom third of the league offense. I'm not expecting them to score a bunch of rushing touchdowns. So there is a case where Damian Harris isn't the guy you think he is. And if you can trade him and you upgrade from and I get Kev's point, but Kev's point is tight end 5 to tight end 12 to 14 is probably 2 points a game. And that's a fair point as well. So right. I think you could make that trade, but I don't know if it's something you have to seek out because running back is the most scarce position.
So, I mean, we see his running backs are stacked. He has Jones, Gibson, and CEH. So he's stacked with his other guys, right? So you're going after a wide receiver. Because I think the difference between Higbee and probably Hawkinson isn't that significant. Correct. In terms of like on a weekly basis of what you're getting. And so it might be a couple of points.
Nice
and
tight end. Yeah.
Get a wide receiver, but like also, again, I want to ask this because the season hasn't started. Like, what players are available on waivers? I don't know how deep this is. Is there even like a Terrace Marshall or a Brian Edwards, like guys like that you can kick the tires on for a couple of weeks and see what plays out there, and then make a move from there? Because I think that right now I think your team's fine. Like I don't mind Deontay. I think Sutton is fine. At wide receiver. And then get Jones, Gibson, CEH. Obviously, you're stacked at running back with the other 3 you have. So obviously, you're playing from strength at running back. And so if you're going to do anything, I think you have to go after a wide receiver. But I would maybe take, like you guys were saying, maybe take Damian Harris and try to get even a Chase Claypool, or I guess not with Deontay, but T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd or guys like that I would much rather have. And maybe see if you can get them, whoever has that guy, maybe they have Terrace Marshall on their bench, right? And say, okay, give me him and Terrace Marshall or Elijah Moore or whatever, and get them to throw in a little bit extra. And I think you'll be sitting pretty with it.
Tom, I'm going to jump in. I think you and I both thought the same thing here. I want to make sure. Deontay Johnson and Cortland Sutton, I do not feel comfortable as my wide receiver 1 and 2. I think that's you're going to have one of the worst wide receiver 1s and wide receiver 2s compared to what everybody else is going to have. If you have Jones, Gibson, and CEH, and your running back 4 is Mike Davis, your running back 5 is Gus Edwards, and your running back 6 is Damian Harris, absolutely make that move for a Cooper. You threw out T. Higgins, so that's one you can just do 1-to-1, right? You can just trade probably straight up 1-to-1 there. I would absolutely trade probably 2 of those guys personally and get yourself a top 12 wide receiver and then you're set, man. You have 4 running backs that you're comfortable with. You can get a couple flyers. You can add in a Terrace Marshall, like Kev's saying. I like that idea. Add in a Marquez Callaway, who Kev's been pounding the table for, even before the preseason hype that he's gotten. So I think you can absolutely do that. And then now you are stacked at wide receiver. You're still stacked at running back. I don't know who your quarterback is, but then you have a decent tight end. I think Higbee is a sleeper tight end that can be top 6, absolutely. So I really like this team, Johns. Just make that move with your running backs, upgrade at wide receiver. I agree with Kev there.
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie to you. I'm actually going to wind up trading one of your top 3 running backs, probably CEH and either Gus Edwards and Damian Harris, or, and I'm going to try and upgrade like big, like top like 6 or 7 wide receiver, as opposed to like that tier down from like 12 to like 15. That's where I'm probably going to wind up going, because I don't think the drop off between CEH to your wide receiver 3 or 4, especially if you are going to wind up stream Gus Edwards and Mike Davis, and you somehow trade CEH and Damian Harris for CeeDee Lamb, something like that. Yeah, I'm doing that all day. And I think a lot of people are going to wind up accepting that trade because of the name value of CEH. And I like CEH. I'm not saying that. I just think you have the value there where you can replace him and get, your points per week with that receiver and the net loss, etc., whatever. # mathematics.
Well, I know we've talked about this for a minute now, but I do want to know Giants 26.
Stir.
How many can you start? Like, is it 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex? Is it 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex? It matters in terms of what you want to play. Because anytime that I have, you have 3 wide receivers, and then you could start. I always want to have that flex be a wide receiver. I think the positional advantage that you have over a running back there is almost always higher with a wide receiver. So I would rather do that. But I was just curious of how you were able to start, who you're able to play anyway. Because you're right. If it's Deontay and Sutton, I love Deontay this year, and I think Deontay has 100% wide receiver 1 upside.
But you don't rank him that way, correct?
No, I mean, of course not. You're not going to rank him that way. But in the way that but he's dealing with the position of strength too, because of how strong he is. I don't think you need to make that drastic of a move and move CEH to get a top 6 wide receiver, right? I think that you can package the 2 and get a lower end wide receiver 1. Right? Maybe
Allen Robinson would be
Robinson, perfect example. I think you package though. You go to the team, go look through your league, and see who
needs running back.
Yes, who needs running backs, right?
Somebody does. If he has all 6 of these guys, I don't care if it's a 10 team or an 8 team. Somebody needs running back with how many good running backs he has. I guarantee you.
Well, we never answered the question. You put it up and you never answered it.
Which one?
This Kells 22.
Oh, did I skip it? Okay.
Well, you actually had it up, but then we never answered it. We moved on.
All right, let's answer it.
All right, I picked 9 in a 14-team league. Who do you take with the highest upside? Taylor, Aaron Jones, Najee, or Antonio Gibson?
I'm going JT. He has the highest upside, and he's awfully the same. Well, Jesus Christ, Aaron Jones too. Fuck me.
I mean,
listen. They all have super high upside, and they can all. You can't really go wrong. I think Najee's 4th in that bunch for me. I think
Najee's easily 4th for me. Easily 4th for me.
So I'm gonna go Najee at 4, Gibson at 3, especially when you factor in safety, and then it's Aaron Jones and Taylor. And I think JT can be the RB1, so I will give JT that nudge. I think Aaron Jones is probably a little bit safer than Jonathan Taylor, but if you're talking upside, I'd go JT. So Aaron Jones or JT, you can't really go wrong with either one of those guys.
That's what I was going to say. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Kev, I think I know where you're going if I remember your hot take correctly, but maybe you have a different answer. But I guess I would say that it's really hard not to say Aaron Jones, because when we talk upside, I think we throw this word around so much, guys. And I want to say, when we've seen the guy do it, that's still upside. I know that Aaron Jones can be the running back 2 in an Aaron Rodgers Packers offense. I know he can do it because I've seen it 2 years in a row, right? So I know that Aaron Jones can do that. Jonathan Taylor probably can do it. Antonio Gibson, Kev's absolutely in on that. I'm not quite where Kev's at, but I think he can absolutely be maybe top 6 with his upside, top 5 maybe. Najee, he's fourth for me, distant fourth. So I guess my saying is I know the highest upside is with Aaron Jones because I've seen what he's done in an offense that's very similar to what they still have. I don't care that they've added Randall Cobb, Amari Rodgers. They're not going to throw much, the switch in the backfield. They've lost Jamal Williams. All that pass work is going to Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon does not catch the football. We could see Aaron Jones get even more catches than we've seen in the past. The highest upside for me is unquestionably Aaron Jones. And I'm curious what Kev says because I know you're an Antonia Gibson fan, but I know you still respect a lot Aaron Jones.
Respect a lot. I'm the only one that has him ranked inside the top 5. So I don't know if you guys do. I have him at 4, I believe. And so I think I have him the highest of all you guys. I have been on
I'm 5 on him. I'm 5, Kev. Sue me.
But I have been there all year. Like, it hasn't changed. All right? With Aaron Jones. Like, Aaron Jones is always undervalued. Aaron Jones is always underappreciated.
Yes.
He has finished as a top 5 running back each of the past 2 seasons. Nothing has changed with Aaron Rodgers coming to town. Or not coming to town, but staying there. And so everything stays the same. And the offense, I think, is just as good as it was last year. Correct? And so – but if we're talking just overall ceiling, I still think it's probably Aaron Jones. But I do think Antonia Gibson is definitely in the conversation. But things have to break his way. Like, J.D. McKissic has to take a much lesser role for Antonio Gibson truly hit that ceiling. I think he has it. I think they could turn to him, much like they did with CMC, whatever he was there in Carolina with Ron Rivera. But I also think you're if we're truly talking about ceiling, the next guy has to be Najee Harris because there is nobody else there. Like with Taylor, with Gibson in the same conversation, one has McKissic, the other one has Naheem Hines. Najee Harris has nobody there. And if it would not be crazy to say that he gets 90 targets this year. It's not crazy to say.
That is crazy. Kev, that's literally crazy.
It's not something that. Let me finish. No, you guys let me finish. Okay, I'll let you talk. Listen, I'm not saying it's 100% happening. I'm saying it's in the range of outcomes here with this offense.
No,
it is. It is.
Nope.
It definitely is.
I think it's within the range of outcomes.
He's the only guy that's going to see touches here in this backfield.
Do you know how many running backs got 90 targets last year?
What's that?
You know how many running backs got 90 targets last year?
Yeah, you know why?
Go ahead.
Because almost every one of these running backs are in a committee. And so they're all cannibalizing each other. You don't have that here with him. He is one of the rare unicorns that the entire backfield is his. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I say, like, if you really want to talk about upside, true ceiling, it's going to be the guy who has nobody else in the backfield to take anything away from him.
That's Anthony McFarland, bro.
Yeah, first of all, you're the Anthony McFarland guy. Second of all,
let's stop it, okay?
That is so much projection. 90 targets is absolutely not even remotely in the cards. 75 would be the high side. Like, rookie year wide receiver targets, running back targets is not nearly as much as you think it is. Second year, third year, yeah, they build up upon that. But first year, absolutely not.
Saquon did.
Yeah. Do you think he's Saquon? I'm absolutely not.
I think he's in a Saquon situation.
No, stop. No.
He's not. He was on the Giants with an old-ass quarterback where he was the only guy.
He is not in the Saquon. He does not have running back one upside. We're going to slow our roll with Najee Harris, who is a very great talent.
You mean he doesn't have the RB1 upside is what you're saying?
Right, and that's what Aaron Jones does.
You said he doesn't have RB1 upside.
The RB1 upside, which Aaron Jones absolutely does. But I want to keep going here. The Antonio Gibson question, because you're the Antonio Gibson guy. I like him a lot. I can't get to where you're at with him, so I hate that. I really do like Antonio Gibson. Do you think he gets the CMC bump? I'm more of I think he splits work with McKissic. It's more, he has a bigger share than he did last year, but I still think McKissic eats in enough, kind of like Jonathan Taylor, where Hines eats in enough, where he doesn't quite get that full CMC bump. And that's why I don't have his upside as high. Kev, Tom, where are you at with Antonio Gibson as he enters year 2 here? Can he have that CMC bump where he gets, now we're talking 120 targets, because that's what CMC has gotten the past couple seasons.
No.
Yeah, I don't think people understand the usage that CMC got those 2 years where he had 400 plus fantasy points. That's insanity. That's rare. That's like top 5 all time type stuff. So The CMC types, it's really rough. And again, what Kev was saying in the last discussion with Najee, it goes back to CMC. CMC was what they had there. That was it. And he could do everything, so they kept him on the field. And he's just a different monster. So I think he's going to have a bump. I love Antonia Gibson this year. I think he can be a top 5 back. But the CMC thing, that's just, you're pushing him to 400 touches. Not targets included and everything. You're getting 90 receptions and 300 carries. Like that usage is insanity. You know what I mean? So I think people need to pump the brakes a little bit with the CMC usage. I think 60 receptions, easily within the realm of Antonio Gibson with McKissick still there. And then, 250 to 280 carries. I think that's within the realm again, which puts you in top 5 consideration. So that's something you can't be disappointed with. So I just think people might be disappointed if they think it's going to be those 2 seasons that CMC had where he had 400 plus fantasy points in PPR leagues. That was just those seasons don't happen. That's like the Danian Tomlinson type shit.
Right.
Right. It's legendary upset. It's exactly what we're talking about. So that's what. Like, there's only been a very small few. I think there's been 7 running backs that have had a 20% win rate over the past 10 years, right? And obviously, Christian McCaffrey is one of them. And if you look at the past 4 RB1s, they all are pretty much come in around the same numbers. Outside of Christian McCaffrey, just was on a different planet. But all of those had a 20% win rate, right? But you have to project that the bare minimum, the lowest reception total was Todd Gurley, who had 73 receptions. And so for Najee Harris, or any running back that you think is going to finish the RB1, you have to first ask yourself, can they get 70 to 80 receptions? I think that's the beginning question that you have to ask, because it's exactly what we've seen the past 4 years, every RB1. And so it's why that I've had this ad nauseum conversation about Derrick Henry and why you shouldn't be taking him where you're taking him, because he is destined to fail. He is going to fail. He is not going to hit that again. And so, but this isn't a Derrick Henry conversation. So when it comes to Najee Harris and when it comes to Antonio Gibson and these guys and the running backs that were mentioned there, which of those running backs have that? And I think first and foremost, it's Aaron Jones. So I would agree that Aaron Jones does have the highest ceiling of those guys, and I think he's the guy that had the highest upside, right?
And that was a fantastic question as far as
that was a great question,
because
it is him, because he's the guy. Easily, you could say if he catches 80 balls this year, is that surprising anybody? No, especially with Jamal Williams gone, and they still don't have, outside of Devontae, it's Randall Cobb, who's 31, and then the same guys, same cast of characters are there that were there last year, right? And so that's where the conversation has to start, though. With this, is who has that, and it's really Aaron Jones. I think Antonio Gibson could get there, but you would have to envision that J.D. McKissick was completely wiped out for him to truly hit that this year.
Yeah, and so it's funny, we were talking about JT also, and we're talking about him being underappreciated. Is JT going to wind up being the new Aaron Jones, where everybody's just like, yeah, no, he's good? No.
Draft capital. He won't. No, it has to be a draft capital thing. Aaron Jones.
Draft capital.
So I don't think that's why, though.
Aaron Jones is the 5th round guy.
I think the question is because I think it's because he doesn't get the volume that people want, right? He's always in that 13, or to say about 15 touches per game guy, right? He's not getting 20. He's not getting 20 touches a game. I'm talking about Aaron Jones. Why Aaron Jones doesn't go higher is because he's not getting that high level volume, right? It's why everybody's drafting Derrick Henry where he's drafting this year, because he's going to get 20 touches. He's going to get 20 carries this year, right? His floor is great, and because he's going to get all these carries. And I would disagree, because like we know, 1 target equals 2.75 carries. Right, and so I want the guy who's getting all of the carries or all the targets. Give me that guy over the guy. He may get 280 carries, but if he's only going to get me 20 targets, no thanks.
Christian, welcome to the conversation. We are talking about highest upside between Aaron Jones, Najee Harris. Who are some of the other names here, guys?
Eckler,
Gibson, and Taylor.
Taylor, that's what it was.
Yeah, so I've got Aaron Jones ranked the highest of those guys, but I kind of agree with what Tom was saying. I mean, Jonathan Taylor can easily, have the higher ceiling between the two. And I'm with Kev as well. Antonio Gibson kind of has that all-around skill set to where he's going to get the goal line work.
Hey, call him out. Get him, Tom.
Did Cody enter the chat? Is Cody still here?
I had to do the spirit of Cody.
So if you had to pick one, Christian, who you rolling with?
Aaron Jones.
That is the correct answer. Hey, everybody who's still rocking.
I was reading the names off, and I was like, "Well, Aaron Jones in there? Jesus Christ!"
Yeah, it's too many names. Everybody who's still rocking with us, keep tossing in some questions. We want to keep these questions going while we wait for more questions, guys. I think a big piece of news that came over the weekend was Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins. It's locked in. It's for sure. He's going to be traded. And I thought that was wild. I don't know what you guys were thinking over the weekend. We didn't discuss it a lot, honestly, in our Discord chat. If you haven't joined the Discord chat, make sure you do so. We have a lot of stuff rocking. It's on all of our YouTube channels or all of our YouTube videos. Make sure you join. What did you guys think? Because I don't know how someone trades for Deshaun Watson right now personally, and I thought it was a lot of smoke, but it seemed like it was going to happen any second. We were going to get the Schefter tweet that it was confirmed. Christian, I'll shoot it to you first. Like, what was going through your mind with Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins?
I thought it was nuts. A couple things, like you said, who's trading for Deshaun Watson with what's going on right now? Like, until this stuff is settled, how can you feel okay as a GM making a move for this guy? I mean, what if he is guilty for all of it and you made that move? I mean, how can you possibly sit on that? On the other end of it, from the Miami end, I mean, it seems like they've gotten pretty settled with Tua. But before the draft and all this, we thought Deshaun was going there, but it seems like they've gotten settled with Tua, and he was going to be the guy, and all that was in the past. So it kind of came out of nowhere. But I really wasn't sure how to take it. It was just really shock on both ends.
I think Miami is just ridiculously stupid if they do this trade right now. I can't even. And Deshaun Watson's great. He's a great quarterback. But you might have a great quarterback already there. You have the allegations. And there was a report that came out that said Stephen Ross is the man behind this, which is the owner, which makes a lot of sense.
Makes sense.
Stephen Ross is the guy pushing for the quarterback, and the GM and the coach are like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Because when owners start getting involved saying that they want a player, then that's when shit gets weird, because they might do whatever it takes at a nonsensical time like this, saying, oh, it'll be a discount, whatever. We've done our investigation. Things will be fine. You have no idea. So that's the weird thing for me. There were reports that pick protection was being pushed for, which, he was linked heavily to the Eagles. So I've been involved in this one a lot, because I didn't, I was like, oh my God, they're going to bring him here. I have no idea what the hell how he's going to try and do, because Laurie might be pushing for the same thing. Luckily, apparently, he said he didn't want to come to the Eagles, so I don't have to worry about that. But pick protection is a big thing in anything involved with this trade. And for you to agree to anything on either side, the Texans or Miami, like, I don't know how you work that out. Like, okay, if he goes to jail for 68 days, you get a third.
Yeah. I don't even know how that works.
Like, how do you even work it out? Like, so I don't see it happening. I really don't. And for Miami to do this before the season, before they see what they have into it, it also doesn't make any sense. So there's just a lot of things that don't make sense for me. So I think it's Houston trying to push things out to get people to try and bid up, and get Watson. I think that's what it is. Or it's Watson's camp trying to get some other team to jump in. That's what the feeling I have. So,
well, Charles Robinson, who is very well connected in Yahoo,
he's very well connected,
but he's also very well connected with Houston. And also he's just a national reporter, so has probably connections everywhere. But he has spoke about this and talked about this, and the Dolphins are legitimately interested in this. Like, this isn't like a smoke screen from anybody. Like, this is. But I think the biggest hurdle here is probably trying to figure out, the contingencies of how this works. And, and obviously I would think that Tua is going to be involved with this. Then I don't think the Dolphins are going to be willing to give up 3 firsts and 2 seconds plus Tua. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. The value that Tua still has. I mean, hell, we saw Josh Rosen look as bad as he did and still command the draft capital that he did. after he got traded. So that doesn't make any sense to me. I get it from Houston's standpoint that they don't want to sell low on Deshaun Watson, but even if this comes back, like I don't his value is not going to be any higher than that, I think, at this point. And I will say this with the Deshaun situation, that these teams have like legitimate like FBI, personnel on their staff. Like they clearly know well more about all of this than we do, right? And so what's going on. The NFL has been investigating it. And the NFL hasn't even suspended him yet. Like I thought, if he was going to be suspended, that it would have happened already. It doesn't look like he's going to be suspended.
It can't until
or placed on the commissioner exempt list. Excuse me.
Right.
But
they did that to AP in the preseason.
Yeah, but I mean the season's about to start. But here's the thing: this is why I still think there's a chance this happens, because you cannot have this quote unquote cancer on this team, because like he is a complete malcontent. He does not want to be there. Every time at camp, you'd always see him on the walking by, pissed off, doesn't want to be there. And there's no way, because they're just gonna have to healthy scratch him, but he's gonna be around that building the entire time. Like how do you have Deshaun Watson, who's able to play, it's just sitting there, right? Like you can't banish him. You're not going to kick him out and say, "Oh, you can't come to the facility," right? So he's going to be there all the time. This is why I think a trade is still probably going to happen sometime. Because I just can't imagine that all year we see this and he's just there. I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, so look at it this way too. So if Houston knows he's going to wind up getting cleared, because like you said, they have very good investigators, his value only goes up once that happens, right? So the $10 million cap hit that they're going to incur to have him inactive and around whatever, it's not like Deshaun Watson being upset and being a malcontent is going to make them any worse, because they're just shitty and they're going to be in like the bottom 3 of the league anyway, which is probably what they should want, because they should want to be able to go out and draft fucking Spencer Rattler and then go get all these other players. You know what I mean? So I don't know. They're going to be able to get all this huge haul next season once he's cleared, if he's cleared, get their quarterback, and then build around that quarterback.
Yep. Just to finish that thought.
It's just, why not?
Just to finish that thought, there's no way. Houston's made it very clear that they're not selling him for 75 cents on the dollar. They want, 3 firsts and 2 seconds or something crazy for him. They want the full gamut for him. So why would you sell him when you know your team's not one trade away from being in contention? Houston's in a full rebuild. So why don't you suck this year? It doesn't hurt that he's their 53rd guy. He's inactive. They're going to suck this year. They're sucking for Rattler, right? They're sucking for Sam Howell. We'll let Christian tell us who's going to be the top pick, right? They're going to get their first their one-on-one pick in the draft. And then they trade Watson, and they get more capital when he's done with when all this is past him. That I completely agree with Tom, is that there's no reason why this trade should happen now. And then let's change it to the flip side. Why would the Dolphins invite that into their locker room? A guy that they haven't had the entire preseason. They're about to go into week 1. They've had 2 of the entire time. They're going to bring in this guy who has 22, 23 claims against him. He's never been here, never seen the offense. They're a playoff team. The Dolphins are literally a playoff team. They have one of the best defenses in the league. And they're going to trade for a guy who may or may not play. He could be stripped of his playing days at any time. Like, there's no way that I think this could happen, but it was so certain that it was going to happen. I was shocked.
Here's the deal, though. When owners get involved,
that's why
shit happens.
But I don't think it happens.
I think you probably asked yourself. I think that if anybody knows 2 of the best, it's going to be the Dolphins, right? After seeing them this entire time, and I think if it comes down to it, at the end of the day, can you win a Super Bowl with Tua? And if their answer is no, then if that's what they think, I don't mind them going after a guy like Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson's arguably 20. He's 26, but he's arguably, in terms of just in terms of age, adjusted and everything else. You're talking about a top 3, top 4 quarterback in the league, and getting him. I think you do whatever you can, because what happens is I think the advantage that Miami has is there's not many teams that actually need a quarterback right now. When you get in the offseason, now you're bidding against all the other teams that are going to be needing a quarterback again, right? Pittsburgh could definitely be needing a quarterback.
What incentive is that for Houston to trade him now, just in case?
And on the flip side of it, you're right. The flip side of it, Houston's like, okay, we'll just hold off. We'll wait till next year, and we'll come back. And we'll come back. All the other teams involved. Carolina, who definitely wants a piece of them. If they can get them. Denver, depending on what happens with Aaron Rodgers, like all these other teams, you're right. So I think it's an interesting situation, but I don't know. It's going to be weird if he does stick around there all year, which I guess at this point it probably is more likely that he's not going anywhere because we're starting to get the season, and unless a major injury were to happen, and I still can't see it anybody doing that because no one's trading for Deshaun Watson for 1 year. It's not like a 1 year rental or anything like that.
Right,
so.
Yeah.
He's probably
already under contract. He already signed his extension. So,
Yep.
And this question just shot me right in the heart. By the way,
Hey, I got to go to Christian first because I haven't heard him enough tonight. I know. If I feel like I know Tom's answer, but we're going to see. Christian, I'm going to hit you first. In a PPR league, who do you have higher in your rankings, Deontay Johnson or Brandon Ayuk?
It's Deontay Johnson for me. I mean, I think he's probably the safest target volume in the league. I mean, he just gets peppered with targets. Ayuk, you've got Kittle there, you've got Samuel there. I don't see them throwing the ball anywhere near the amount of times the Steelers are going to throw the ball for the volume to be anywhere close to where Johnson's is going to be. So Johnson for me over Ayuk because I just don't think Ayuk can approach his volume whatsoever.
It's much closer for me. I think I have them both pretty close. I love Brandon Ayuk, but I would still lean Deontay Johnson in a PPR format just because I think the ceiling is probably somewhere close to what he had last year, 130, 140 targets, and I don't think Ayuk has that.
Yeah. I hate to do it. I think Deontay, and I love both of these guys, so that's why it's rough for me. So Deontay had 144 targets last year. I think he missed the game last year too, so I don't think they have that much passing volume for Ayuk to make it up as far as the efficiency goes. So Deontay is going to catch the ball just a ton of times. So next question is, who's each of your
Saquon who's each of your breakout rookie wide receivers this year? I feel like Devontae Smith is the best spot, biggest role. I mean, can we say Terrace Marshall? Are we allowed to say Terrace Marshall? I don't think this.
It's the only answer I'm giving out. It's Terrace
All right,
Marshall.
go ahead, Christian. So let's hear why Christian Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I have 8% of my battery left, and I don't have my cord out here, so sorry.
Well, I mean, there's no arguing that Smith definitely has the biggest role, but I've talked over and over and over again about what an immense red zone talent Terrace Marshall is. He had 23 touchdowns in 19 games in the SEC the past 2 years. The Carolina wide receivers, you have DJ Moore, who's never had over 4 touchdowns in his career. They don't have a bona fide tight end there. I mean, Terrace Marshall is the pass catcher they will be looking to in the red zone. He's always been that on his teams. He's balling out in the preseason. I mean, this guy plays in the slot. He plays out wide. He's going to be on the field, often. And like I said, the red zone is going to be the difference between him and these other receivers on Carolina. I think he can have 10 touchdowns this year. That's his upside.
So how are we defining? You guys might have said this while I was gone, but how are we defining breakout? We're excluding Jamar Chase, I'm assuming.
But no, I think if you're talking about breakout, so I'd say. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, who do you think has the chance to be the highest scoring rookie wide receiver?
Oh, I have to say Jamar Chase, and I don't think it's all that close. I think he's going to be on one of the more pass-heavy offenses. I think he's going to have because the Bengals, outside of the Cardinals, I think the Bengals ran the most 3 wide receiver sets. I'd love to be checked on that, but I'm pretty sure that they were one of the top teams for 3 wide receiver sets. And so I think he's going to have the most snaps out of most of these guys. And I'm not worried about – we talked about preseason. You're not worried about preseason snaps. I'm not worried about preseason drops or struggles to separate or whatever we have with Jamar Chase. I do like Higgins better, but I think Jamar Chase, with the volume that you can have in that offense, I still think he can absolutely be a top 26, 25 wide receiver. I have him ranked right around there. So that's way higher than I have Devontae Smith. It's obviously, Terrace Marshall, if you're talking about like one of the more sleeper picks for redraft, that's a guy I like, but he's not in the same league as Jamar Chase. Rashad Bateman, I don't think they have the volume for him to get there. Jalen Waddle might be my second guy for that. Kev, I know you don't like him as much, but I think this is Jamar Chase pretty easily myself.
Yeah, I agree. Chase is going to have the best year, but let me say that Marshall's going to outperform his ADP by the most of any of these rookie wide receivers.
That could be fair. That could be fair because that's Kev's argument, right? Is that, and I agree that where you were taking Jamar Chase, especially early on, was too high. As someone who's really like T. Higgins from the onset, I thought Jamar Chase would have to work his way.
He was
into
going
that.
like wide receiver 12 early on, wasn't he?
No, not that high. He was
not that high.
20.
Wide receiver 20-ish. Yep.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought I saw him in the teens there.
It still was like fourth round.
Yeah.
Yep. And so. Yeah, if you're talking about someone who's going to outproduce their wide receiver ADP, which is a little bit different, that's maybe more sleeper breakout, however you want to term it. Terrace Marshall's probably one of your names there. I honestly still like Bateman, and I agree that the volume probably isn't there. But I do think that he has the ability, because I don't believe the Sammy Watkins hype that we had in the preseason. I know Marquise Brown is there, but especially with the J.K. Dobbins injury, I do think they have to throw more. Kev, you and I talked about it on our Gus Edwards video that we did. I do think that they're going to have to throw a little bit more. Instead of Lamar Jackson throwing 450 times, 475 times, I think they jump up into the 500, 525 attempts. And obviously, Mark Andrews is going to get his. I think Marquise Brown is still there for some long shots. But I think Bateman really works in there. And I think he can be a guy who's going a lot later that just works in a little bit more than maybe a Terrace Marshall, if we're looking at Terrace Marshall, I agree with Christian on the touchdown upside, but he's behind CMC, he's behind DJ Moore, and he's behind Robbie Anderson for targets. I don't see him getting much more than maybe 90-ish targets. And so he has to be really efficient with and have a Chase Claypool-like touchdown rate to be super relevant.
Unsustainable.
So this is what I would say. I think that Jamar Chase is trending right now, not in the direction that you want to see him, right? Like, I think long term, I think he's still fine, but I think for this year, like, I'm out. I don't want any part of Jamar Chase, and I don't think that he finishes the number one rookie wide receiver. I don't. I think Devontae Smith. I think if you want to talk about who has the safer floor, it's definitely Devontae Smith. I think he's the safest of all of these guys. Yes, he's the only guy there right now, right? I mean, you have Jalen Reagor there, whatever you want to think about that, and then you have Dallas Goedert, right?
Oh,
I know you keep shaking your head, but like you're wrong because there's still the other wide receivers that we're talking about here. That T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd could definitely out target Jamar Chase. They
will out target him. Right. That's not my argument.
Okay, and so unless you're projecting, like, how many, like, okay, so let me ask this then: how many targets are you projecting for Jamar Chase?
Jamar Chase will be probably third on his team in targets, and
but
still
how many? I didn't ask how many.
No, and still out target Devontae Smith with probably 115 to 125 targets. He will
so
still.
How many do you think Devontae Smith is going to get then? How many?
I probably have him in the 105 to 110 range with a less accurate QB. Oh, let me rephrase that. A much less accurate QB.
Okay,
a QB that's probably throwing 57% accuracy. If he gets to 60, that'd be fantastic. Where Joe Burrow is probably in the 65 to 68 range. So I think we're talking about a 10% drop off in your accuracy, in your catch rate for these two guys. Plus, he's 15 targets less, and he's not going to be a higher touchdown threat than Jamar Chase. Absolutely, Jamar Chase a higher touchdown threat than Devonta Smith. So absolutely, Jamar Chase for me.
It's Devontae. It's Devontae.
It is Devontae.
Water bet?
Sure.
I'll water bet. All right, let's fucking do a beer bet. Let's do a red wine bet with white fucking.
You have to just douse yourself in red wine and ruin a shirt?
No, like a whole bottle, just like over yourself in a drink.
Over the head? Hold on, I want to hear Christian. Christian, Jamar Chase or Devonta Smith, who has the better fantasy season? PPR.
Devontae Smith.
Oh my God, I'm in the minority. Are you guys seriously that off with Jamar Chase? You guys don't have that ranked that way.
I'm starting to get a little worried.
You guys do not have it ranked that way. I guarantee you guys.
I guarantee you I do.
Rob,
I probably
it's not
don't.
being off with Jamar Chase saying he's going to be bad. It's the volume Devonta's going to get.
What's his volume? What's their passing volume? Are they
Look
gonna
at the
throw
other
5?
receivers. So here's two things. I think the Bengals offense is actually going to be very good. You know what I mean? Especially if Burrow can come back, right?
Yeah.
All right. So
That's the biggest
the
question,
Eagles-
though. Like Joe Burrow, there's been all these reports about him that he's not comfortable in the pocket whatsoever.
But I think
that he's not like, and so like if it very well could take him 3, 4, 5 weeks.
That's
to get
so
comfortable back.
funny that Kevin Steele, of all people, is worried about somebody coming off an ACL that they won't be ready for week 1. But Saquon Barkley, good to go, no questions asked.
I'm
hasn't
talking
played,
about him
hasn't
in
played,
a mental situation.
hasn't
It has
played
nothing.
in
I'm not talking about
contact.
physically. It has nothing to do with physically. I'm
That
talking
is
about
so
when he's in his
wishy-washy
own head.
from you.
I'm talking about when he's in his own head.
Oh Jesus!
That is
understand
so
that.
wishy-washy.
No, there's no wishy-washy there. Okay,
Yes,
I'm not
you're
trying to
saying
say
opposite things for two guys that have the same problem. They're coming
I'm
back
not
from a
saying
big
the same
injury.
thing.
Dude, it's a
You don't
quarterback
listen.
stepping into his
You're like-
throws.
You're like a woman, okay? You don't listen. You only hear what you want to hear. Okay. All right. That's not what I said.
Yeah.
But regardless of this is not that difficult. You can't take a guy and just be like, well, I think because of what it said. You have to go with what's going on right now, right?
Mhm. What's going
Jamar
on?
Chase looks like a bust. If we're being honest, yes, he does. You cannot say, I'm not saying he's going to be a bust. I'm not saying it's
profile's too
happening.
good.
I'm
It's too
saying
good.
there's no chance that you've seen him and not one positive thing has come out about him. Every single game, he looks like a terrible wide receiver. And if we're being honest, we're still talking about a wide receiver. Listen, and I love Jamar Chase. I absolutely love Jamar Chase.
No, you
But
don't.
if
You're
we're being
losing that
honest,
card. That card's gone.
If we're being honest, we're still talking about a player that has 1 year of production. One, right? It was one great year, but it was still on an offense that was fantastic. Like if you want to break it down, Devontae Smith has multiple seasons of high level production at Alabama, right? And so to sit here and say that Jamar Chase is a can't miss prospect, I think is ridiculous. And you have to at some point take into consideration of what's happened. It's not just one game. I don't care about that. It's been throughout the entire process of this offseason.
Entire preseason,
Yes,
which you didn't care about for other.
whether it's been mini camp, whether it's been training camp, whether it's been preseason games, there has been just a drumbeat of how bad he is. Now you can sit here and wish it off and say, "Well, it's nothing. It's nothing. He's fine." And I still think long term, I think that he will be. But if you're not taking that into consideration at all and completely just locking it and be like, "Well, I think this guy's the number one wide receiver, so that he just has to be the number one wide receiver," is ridiculous because he has looked terrible. There is no denying that. There's no argument against it. How are you going to roll your eyes? He can't even catch a football right now. He's literally the easiest.
Drops
slant
don't
route
matter.
drops
Hold on.
the
I heard a guy that defended Deontay Johnson tell me to my face that drops don't matter. So don't tell me he can't catch a football.
I'm talking. That's not what I'm saying.
The
What I'm
preseason
saying is
doesn't matter,
that he
The preseason
clearly
doesn't
isn't
matter.
right now. He's not right now, right? Would you agree?
So he isn't right in the head right now. So that's something to consider. He's got
It's
to
fine.
probably take a few weeks to get that in. But I think we've chewed this one up
Yep.
quite a bit. So let's go to. I have a few over-unders for you because I'm the prop guy. And we're going to
Yes.
go to the AFC North and we're going to go running backs here. So a couple lines just moved. Gus Edwards went from 650. What do you think his over-under went to for rushing? Christian, what do you think it's
You
up to?
told me.
I know I did, Robbie. That's why I'm not asking you the question.
850.
I think it's going to be higher. Let's go 1050.
All right, it's at 1,000. Even.
I think I would go under.
I'm going over.
Going under?
Over for
Going
me.
over. I'm going under. And I don't like unders. So
Under-
I like Gus Edwards a lot, but
I do too.
I think there's ways that doesn't happen.
I think there's a lot of ways it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and so like that doesn't feel like there's not. I mean, how many running backs rushed for 1,000 yards last year? First of all,
Gotcha.
So
keep
I
talking.
don't have it, but their average with the 17 games, it's going to probably add like 5 to 6 more. But I think there's so many variables around Edwards that makes that tough to bet. So
9.
that's staying
How many
away.
yards did y'all have Dobbins going for?
8 running backs did, and Lamar rushed for 1,000 last year.
So Gus was at 650 and Dobbins was at 1,100 or so.
rushing yards.
Yeah.
So Dobbins, the over under is 1,000.
Edwards, you mean?
sorry, Edwards. The over under is 1,000. Is that correct?
I'll take the under on Dobbins if it's 1,000.
Smart man. That's why you never lose your prop bets. Make sure you tune in Saturday nights to Cody and Tom Prop Talk. That's a little plug for you all. So it's Edwards 1,000 rushing yards over under. I will take the over on that because let's talk about this, right? He averages roughly 5 yards per carry, 5.5, somewhere around there. All he needs is roughly 200 yards, right? 200 yards, and he's got that.
200 carries.
200 carries, correct. 200 carries, and he's got that. I think that's absolutely in the realm of possibilities for Gus Edwards, just to have 200 carries. And that's assuming he doesn't even improve getting more work. So I absolutely think that Gus Edwards can get the 1,000 yards. But you have to have health, and that's the tough part. You have to have health.
So when that got pumped up, I think a lot of us were looking at like 900 yards. And when it went up to 1,000, it immediately went, ooh.
It's close.
If I have a doubt, it's because I heard that McCary is going to be getting all the work there in Baltimore this year.
Tell him, Christian.
Christian McCaffrey too, right?
That was still one of the best interactions I've had on YouTube in a while.
It was a good interaction. I love that you told me you would come back, and then sure enough, you had to come back.
Yeah, you have to do it. Okay, if someone tries to call you out on a video, right? I'm all for people like on comments, like they want to be negative or they want to be upset about something, whatever. I would prefer people try to like have like a conversation about it instead of just coming in and just being super negative about it. Because my always interaction is always going to be, I'm just going to clap back, right? And so that's what I did because it was so stupid too. Like it was about some running back I've never heard of, and
Gary McCary,
yeah,
Justice Hill,
Tyson Williams, and Justice Hill. Like, and we didn't even say anything about like really that I could think of. I know I talked about Tyson Williams. I was the first, yep. And I got shrugged off as to that I shouldn't say anything. But you're wrong. But anyways. But the problem is that like he came so much with the heat in the comment section. I'm like, well, I'm gonna come right back at you on this. So of course, whenever he gets cut 2 days later, I'm gonna come right back in the comments and let him know.
Yeah,
right. One more before we get to Walito.
Okay.
Other prop we had was Najee Harris.
Over.
Dropped from around. It was I didn't write it down. I'm sorry, my brain. I've been drinking alcoholic beverages. I'm on vacation. Leave me the fuck alone, Robbie. Don't make that face. Judging.
Over.
So Najee
it's
was
over.
All right. Najee was around 1050 or 1100. I can't remember which. And he dropped to 990 rushing yards.
Over.
So 990 rushing yards. That's shady as fuck. I slammed the over as soon as I saw it drop. What do you guys got, and why?
I mean, it's over because there's no
990?
other running backs on the Steelers. I mean, he's the only guy there.
Over.
Yeah,
It's so confusing, right?
It doesn't make any
What
sense.
happened?
No.
Did some like fucking shark just come in and put $600,000 on the under, and they dropped it? Like that's the only thing I could think of. Just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely over. Barring an injury, I mean that's the only way it doesn't.
Yeah. All right. So Walito.
So hold on. They think Gus Edwards is rushing for more yards than Najee.
Yes, they do by 10. That's why I included them both, and I forgot.
That's ridiculous. So what do we have coming your way next week? We got all kinds of stuff coming your way. It's start sit. Yes. For anybody that's here, we go live on every Wednesday night, and we essentially just answer all your start sit questions. I think our record's like 2.5 hours that we were live for a start sit, and that's literally all we did the entire show was answer questions, which is fantastic, and it's one of my favorite shows of the week. Is just the interaction there. So we'll do that. That's Wednesdays, but the week starts on Sunday. Sunday night, we go live every Sunday night, and we do the waiver ads for the week. And then from there, we have some streaming content. That's some top streamers coming out. I think we're going to do that Monday or Tuesday. That's going to be coming out. Well, Wednesday we'll start releasing our rankings for the weekly rankings for the week. I think we'll probably do like quarterback and running back on Wednesday, and Thursday will be wide receiver and tight ends. And then Wednesday night we go live. Thursday night we go live for the DFS DJ Nation for the DFS show, and then Saturday, which quickly became one of my favorite TFA shows last year because I'm a degenerate. Is the Prop Talk show with Cody and Tom. And then we also have, if you're into Debbie, I don't know people who are, but I guess some people are into that thing. Christian does an excellent that show is what most people should strive for in terms of a podcast. Quick, 15, 20 minutes in and out, great content, great information. If you're into Debbie, you cannot pass up on that show. I don't even like Debbie. I don't play Dynasty, I'll never play Debbie because that's a whole nother level of stupid. But the actual podcast is fantastic. Okay, and I will say that anybody who plays Debbie should be in their rotation.
That was beautiful how Kev took a dump on me and complimented me at the same time. That was beautiful.
I
didn't take a dump on you. I took a dump on the
format.
Yes, the format of it.
And to be clear, Debbie is just Dynasty with just one extra layer. It's still Dynasty.
So
Debbie Kevy is starting to slowly sneak into Debbie.
He's a Malik Willis kind of guy.
Give Debbie Kevy another year, and it's
whenever I edited the top 5 2022 quarterbacks, and he was waxing poetically about Malik Willis, I'm like, this is a guy that I can get on board with right now. Like, give me Malik Wilson. Give it to me. I love some Malik Willis now. I didn't know shit about him before I edited, but now I'm ready. I feel like I'm already ready for next year to start dropping NFL profiles, and I'm ready now because I watched that video and I am now prepared for that quarterback, and he's my quarterback one already. He is. He's going to be the quarterback one. Because honestly, I don't know any other quarterbacks right now. So I've kind of heard of Rattler. I've kind of heard of that guy, but nobody else I really know about.
Aiden, thank you so much. We appreciate the love. Absolutely love you right back. Make sure you jump in the Discord. I don't think I've seen your name in our Discord, so please jump in. Walido, Ryan will be back. I've heard from Kev Steele himself that Ryan will be making special appearances, so he's not gone forever. He is doing a lot of stuff with FanDuel. We are super proud of him moving and doing stuff big time, but he will be back. But let's get to Blue Crew. He has a question of his half PPR 12-team league. He's curious about his wide receiver core. He has Ridley, Robbie Anderson. It's Robbie with a Y. I just want everyone to know that. Robbie with a Y, very important. Jarvis Landry, Brandon Cooks, Devontae Smith, and Jamison Crowder. Christian, what do you think about this wide receiver core?
I love Calvin Ridley, obviously. He has wide receiver 1 overall potential. Robbie Anderson's just solid. Jarvis Landry's kind of just solid as well. And then Brandon Cooks, again, those 3 guys are guys that you can just rely on. They're not sexy names. You're not going to be excited, but those guys are rarely going to let you down. We just talked about Devontae Smith a ton. It seems like he could kind of be the next generation of those guys there, the more boring guys that just bring their lunch pail to work each day. So I think he's after Calvin Ridley. I mean, there's not a stud there, but it's a lot of floor wide receivers to where he's not going to have to worry about getting 2 or 3 points. He's got a consistent group of 8 to 10 to 12 point kind of guys there, but really he only has Ridley that's going to win him a week.
I'll say this, Blue Crew, if you're here, this is what I'm going to tell you. I love Calvin Ridley, right? And I like Devontae Smith too, but the rest of the group can go because there's no upside there. Right, very, very limited upside. Now there's some decent floors here and stuff like that, but in terms of any, you're not hitting a home run with any of these other guys, right? And so I feel like you definitely need to upgrade your wide receivers, and whether that's dropping a Jamison Crowder and looking to see if again the guys we've talked about, Jacoby Myers, Terrace Marshall, because surprisingly enough, because I'm starting to prepare for the waiver, the sneak peek for everybody that's here. I think we're going to record the waiver show maybe possibly Thursday night. So we'll see on that. But I'm preparing, and I've been looking through ownership percentages for these guys, and I was like, Terrace Marshall's only rostered in like 30% of ESPN leagues. Mm-hmm. Like, what is happening right now? How is Terrace Marshall only rostered in 30% of leagues, right? Marquez Callaway, I think he's definitely higher. He's in like almost the 50% range, right? And so those are the guys that I'm looking for. Like, give me those guys over a Jamison Crowder, because Jamison Crowder is just not doing it for you. Like, right? Like he's if you start him at all this year, because one, Elijah Moore is there, and I think by the end of the year, Elijah Moore is probably just taking Jamison Crowder out. Yep. And I still wouldn't be surprised if Jamison Crowder were to get traded at some point. I think there still could be a couple of trades that are going to be coming over the next couple of days before the season starts. And so I wouldn't be surprised if James Crowder was a guy that got moved. So I just would prefer some other guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have one of the Lions guys than Crowder, and they're probably going around the same area, right?
That's the easiest move he can make, right? Is get rid of Crowder. I don't think he needs to be rostered personally in a 12-team league. Add one of the guys that Kev said. We're looking at Terrace Marshall. We're looking at Marquez Callaway. We're looking at Christian. You and I are Tyrell Williams stands in the 14th, 15th round at the end of your drafts. So I think there are better options to have there. Brian Edwards. No, that's great. Yeah, throw out some other names. So that's easy.
And here's the thing. I've been a little harsh on Edwards lately, so I want to go ahead and say that I'm kind of getting in on Edwards. With the release of John Brown, I mean, it's hard to not see the opportunity there for Edwards and Ruggs. I mean, outside of Waller, I mean, are we worried about Hunter Renfrow? I mean, he's good to do his thing in the slot, but I mean, this is some serious opportunity now for Edwards and Ruggs.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, that's quick news to bring up because John Brown is released, right? Some people might not have heard that news, but John Brown is released. So we're talking about your starting wide receivers in a 3 wide receiver set being Brian Edwards, Henry Ruggs, and Hunter Renfrow. And I think that's absolutely stock up for Cody's guy. He jumped in the chat here recently, Brian Edwards, and then Henry Ruggs, who people are wishy-washy on, really controversial, but I think that's absolutely stock up for those two guys. So there's a lot of better options you can take than a Jamison Crowder. Tom, what did you think about that wide receiver crew?
I think it's good. It's good. I think the Brandon Cooks one is getting a little bit undersold. I think he's going to have a very good target floor. Jarvis Landry will probably be my wide receiver 4 there. Devonta Smith probably is your upside wide receiver. But like you guys said, getting rid of Jamison Crowder and adding an upside wide receiver there is the move to do. So
I just want to say this. I'm getting sick and fucking tired of hearing Cody get called the Brian Edwards guy. I've been in the street taking the bullets, fighting in the street. Me and Christian going at it, and Cody just sits back to the side and doesn't say a damn word about Brian Edwards. But I'm the one out here taking the bullets, fighting the fights. But he gets called the Brian Edwards guy.
Let's go to the ranks. The ranks tell all.
I'm just saying, he doesn't even know what ranks are.
Hold on.
He just pushes a bunch of buttons. Okay?
Hold on. Cody Kutzer, Brian Edwards at 43. Next highest is Kevin Steele at wide receiver 60. Christian at 66. Robbie at 71. You are not the Brian Edwards. You are not the father. No go.
I am. Oh, I am.
Who's the highest on Terrace Marshall?
Oh, gosh. We know that answer already. Christian 45, Kev 50, Robbie and Cody at 62.
See, so Kev was talking some game last week. Me and Kev both had Marshall at 46. So I moved him up to 45 just to be the high man on Marshall, and then Kev moves him back to 50 after talking some mess. So
Yep.
Those aren't official. I those need to be updated. Okay, those are out of date. You don't worry about that.
Real quick, we got to get to this. Drew has a question here. He got offered Ridley and Michelle for Gibson and Cup. It's PPR. His running backs are stacked. He has Eckler, Gus Edwards,
Gibson and Cup all day,
and Damian Harris.
All day. You don't even need to.
I don't care who he has.
Talk.
It's Gibson and Cup.
Yes.
That's a sweep, right?
Okay. And I love Calvin Ridley, but
I love Calvin Ridley too. But that is a massive, massive package there.
Okay,
thank you.
Massive
package answer there. So we're gonna cut that clip, and Christian's gonna say, "I love him," but that's a massive, massive package there.
Massive package, and I love him. But I actually wanted to get to the Chris Herndon news because we have a Chris Herndon trade. Irv Smith is out with meniscus surgery, out 4 to 6 weeks. Chris Herndon lives. Kev rejoices. I don't know if Cody rejoices. He was Chris Herndon's guy last year. Kev has taken the mantle. It looked like it was a sad mantle to take over, but Chris Herndon lives. He's a Viking now in the purple and gold. Do you have him as a usable fantasy guy here, Kevin, for the first 4 to 6 weeks, or what are your thoughts there? Chris Herndon, Vikings.
I mean, I think you have to. I think. I mean, who else do they have? I mean, Conklin's hurt. Irv Smith is hurt. I mean, who else? Who else is really going to be that guy, right? And so, I mean, the only tough part is the offense that he's in.
Hold on, Walito understands.
I'll take Tyler Conklin if he's healthy over Troutman and Herndon. If give me Conklin.
So I just want to let you guys know that I'm still here. Me and music hits. Chris Herndon is back. Okay, people that don't know have to go check out the video that I'm talking about. That this happened, but it was an epic moment. It was. I should have won a Grammy or Emmy. Is it an Emmy? It's an Emmy. I think it's an Emmy's acting. But listen.
Yeah, because you would have to act.
But I stand for somebody. I will always stand for them. Okay, I don't hedge like Cody does. That's what Cody does. Cody is so wishy-washy. He doesn't drop his nuts on the table and hammer them down and say, "This is my guy," right? So me and Chris Herndon, hey, I'm here for you. You need to get out of there. Get out of that toxic environment in New York. Head to Minnesota. Spread your wings, little baby angel. It's time to fly. My heart will always
until
go
week
on.
6 until Irv comes back, and then you dead again.
You're dead. Well, you're streaming.
Great,
you're streaming at that point.
And by great, I mean 5 points a week.
Hey, I mean that's about what you're shooting for. I mean, Irv wasn't really that good either. I mean, it's a rough situation for tight ends there, man.
It is. Yeah. I don't.
Tight end sucks once you get past like the top few guys. Okay, can we just be honest? We're all optimistic about a lot of these dudes, right? But for the most part, we're talking about guys who are going to get you like 50 receptions for 700 yards and 6 touchdowns.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Hey, Aiden's got another question here. What are your plans after the top 3 tight ends are gone? Do you take Andrews as his question? I think that the next 3 guys that are probably up or are Kev, you and I have gone back and forth on Hawkinson and Andrews, who are going to the 5th. I think Pitts is probably going, what do you think, right behind him in ADP? I don't have it off the top of my head. I'm guessing he's right behind those 2 guys.
Pitts had a catch 2 days ago, so his ADP is going to –
He's in the 4th now.
He's removed Kittle. He's actually tight end 3. So he's right there as well. Let's go to the top.
Let me ask this. I think the question you're going to ask, but can Kyle Pitts reach – I think so when people talk about the whole because everybody ever says with Kyle Pitts is, yeah, well he's got to go out there and get like 900 receiving yards, right? Because that's what the record is for a rookie tight end. I don't think it's that unattainable for somebody in that offense that's going to have to throw the ball as much as they're going to have to throw the ball with only being the number 2 target there. And so I'm like. I went from that's too high, but now that I've really thought about it and really let everything, I think it's perfectly fine. I have no problem with taking him as your, as the 4th tight end overall, if that's what you want to do, because his ceiling is definitely there.
Yeah, to me, it's similar to the Mike Davis argument, and everything I hear with the Mike Davis argument is, but he sucks. He's not. No one's going to tell me Kyle Pitts sucks. I mean, this guy's insane. So when the volume is there and you have a talent this elite, I mean, why are we trying to make it too complicated? If you want to tell me Mike Davis sucks, that's fine. But you can't tell me anything bad about Kyle Pitts' profile at this point. And he's going to be second on the team in targets, and the Falcons throw the ball a ton. So I just don't see how 900 yards isn't going to happen, to be honest with you.
You guys are ranking Pitts then as tight end 4 then, behind those top 3?
Yeah.
Kev?
I just recently took him ahead of Hawkinson, and I felt okay. And I like Hawk a lot, so – I did it. And that's for upside, too, because I think he can easily – I think he can have 1,000 yards and just surprise everybody because he's a freak. So I might lose the league on that, but you know what? Fuck it.
You won't lose. Pitts, I think your floor with Pitts is very fine, right? At minimum, he's getting 80, 90 targets. The high side, if you want to get wild, you're going 110-ish targets. I think the reason I'm still taking Hawkinson above Pitts, and Kev, you and I did the throwdown with Andrews and Hawkinson. The reason I'm still taking Hawkinson is that he has 130, 140 target upside because he's the only guy there. And you talk about an offense that will have to throw the ball because they are one of the worst teams in the NFL. and he is the only guy, him and Tyrell Williams and Swift, obviously, he will be peppered game in, game out, and that's why I will take Hawkinson as my tight end, 3 above Kittle, 4 for most people. I will take Hawkinson well over Kyle Pitts. I get it. We love the talent, but the opportunity is even greater. What you like with Kyle Pitts, you like even more with a TJ Hawkinson.
So, Robbie, you need to go ahead and sign on to a DraftKings or FanDuel or whatever the fuck and put some money down on the under for Kyle Pitts because it's 800. And TJ Hawkinson is at 770. All right?
I won't take the under on Pitts, but I'll take the over on Hawkinson. That's simple.
Well, it's not simple. You should take the under and then the over because you're a shithead. I'm sorry, that was mean. Don't do that. Don't be like that. So Kyle puts it 800. Like guys in Vegas are putting him at 800. Like that says a lot. And I think his upside is 900, 1,000 yards, and the touchdowns and receptions because, like we said, it is going to be a lot of targets in that offense because that offense throws a lot. So it's going to be tough for him not to get 800 yards unless he winds up being injured.
Real quick, I want to make sure we actually answered Aiden's question. We really just touched on the tight ends after that top group there. For me, if I don't get one of the top 3 tight ends, I'm not taking a tight end in that group. I'm waiting till way later. So I want to make sure that we're not just covering the tight end group after that.
Fair.
If I don't get one of those top 3, I'm waiting till way late to get a tight end unless I can maybe get like a Dallas Goedert in the 9th, 10th area if he's slipping. But in general, I'm waiting till the very, very end if I don't get one of those top 3 guys.
And who are you targeting if you're waiting till the very end?
Higbee,
Hunter Henry. I mean, Jonnu Smith. I mean, those kind of guys. It just depends who's hanging there. So, tight end, I feel like you don't really know who's going to be there at the very end. Sometimes people take hell no. Troutman's like barely a tight end 2 at the back end, and now he's probably not even a tight end 2 now that he's going to miss some games.
Oh, we got Jameis. We got Jameis out there. Okay. We got
Troutman's got to run more routes than Juwan Johnson, so we'll see if he can do that.
Listen, it is full effect. Adam Troutman season.
We know Kev has a great history with tight ends.
Okay, hold on. Actually, Kev, we're done with that, right? Like we're not doing the Adam Troutman bit anymore. Like, we're done with it.
No, why would we be done with it? What's changed other than we'll see if he's ready to go week 1. But what has changed?
I don't know. The fact that he's seen a specialist might not play week 1. Juwan, the backup tight end is actually getting snaps over him, getting targets over him. Like, are we not? Yeah. Are we not a little bit worried about Adam Troutman?
Actually, I can pull it up. I mean, he's my starting tight end right now on my own fantasy team for week 1.
Tell me you're not winning fantasy championships this year without telling me you're not winning fantasy championships this year.
You know what? I bet that's what everybody said too. The year that actually you guys weren't in the fantasy streets whenever this happened, but whenever I had Julius Thomas as a top 10 tight end,
I like that name.
Everybody said I was absolutely outside of my mind, ridiculous. There was no chance that would ever happen. And then the first week of the season, he goes out and drops like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I just dropped my nuts on the entire fantasy community. And it felt satisfying, right?
Well, Walito and I have a bet on Adam Troutman. I've got Zach Ertz topping him, baby.
That is terrible.
Give me Ertz.
Absolutely.
Ertz to the Jets.
That's certifiably terrible.
Who says no?
Ertz over Troutman every time.
What?
Ertz to the Jets. Who says no?
Tyler Croft.
Howie.
Don't shit on Tyler
Probably
Croft.
Howie.
Are you just like you just love Jets tight ends? Like,
so no, the Tyler Croft.
Tyler Croft is nobody.
Tyler Croft. Listen, I know you don't play DFS. You don't put money on anything. So
stop.
Listen, okay. But Tyler Croft and Dan Arnold, the reason I love them both is not the player that they are. It's because they both won me money in DFS. That's why.
Crockett Gilmore style. Are we talking? We want to bring up Crockett Gilmore.
I'll take Hayden Hurst over those guys too.
Tyler Croft won me money in DFS. Okay, he dropped 2 touchdowns and like 70
yards. Your bias is what you're admitting. You're biased to previous money won.
Well, no, those are jokes. When we talk about Dan Arnold and we talk about.
I actually kind of like your Dan Arnold.
He's serious about Troutman.
Time out. I kind of like your Dan Arnold love. I've actually come to accept him as my own. So I'm with you on Dan Arnold.
I'll take Dan Arnold over Troutman.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry.
You gotta go,
bail.
Tommy. You gotta go. Okay, we are going
I do
super
have to
late,
bail.
but we got people rocking with us. And Christian, you still good?
Yeah, I guess you got me up this late now.
Let's go.
I was like about to go to bed,
Rock
and you're
on.
like, "Hey, hop on the live," and I'm like, "All right, fine."
Because this is actually one of the topics we hit at the top of the show. Giants 26. We talked a little bit about Mac Jones taking. Hey,
See you
Tommy,
guys.
later. Thank you for joining
Hey, when's
us.
your guys' first is a prop talk? Is it going to be next Saturday, not this Saturday, but next?
Yeah, it'll be next Saturday, and it'll either be on Friday or Saturday, depending on my schedule, because I'm on vacation. I get back from vacation on Saturday, but I'm home. It's a weird thing. So it'll be Friday or Saturday. We'll be going live though, and we will have some good props for you. I will have something for you guys for the Thursday night game ahead of time, probably whenever that comes out. I'll have it by Wednesday. If it comes out Tuesday and I see something that I like, I'll get it out as quick as I possibly can, though.
Prop
Good.
man.
Love it.
Can't wait. Gonna win some money.
Let's go.
Love it.
All right, boys.
Later, Tommy.
Later.
Walito, remind me of our Darrell Henderson bet. I do not remember it. I will probably lose that because of what has maybe changed, but let me know. So Mac Jones being the starter, and I asked this at the top, but both of you guys were not here. Kev, you joined late. Christian, you joined late. What do you guys think about Jonnu versus Hunter Henry? And are you moving them up? Are you changing them? Who do you like more? Let's talk quickly about the tight end situation in New England.
I've been Jonnu over Henry, and this does nothing except cement that for me. I mean, Jonnu is the more talented player. He's the more dynamic player. I mean, he if you're suggesting that he may get a goal line carry or something with this with Cam Newton gone, I mean, Jonnu's the guy that would over Hunter Henry. So, I mean, give me the better player. Give me the guy the Patriots paid more. And like I said, I had him ahead before this move, so he's absolutely staying ahead of Henry for me.
Kev nodded his approval of that statement. Walito, I still have him in my top 24. I believe most of our other rankers do as well. Let's do a quick poll here. It is Henderson. Kev has him at 21. Cody has him at 23. I have him at 23. And then actually Christian has him just outside top 24 at 26. So we will keep that bet that I already made. So I'm locked in on that. Let me know what we bet. I don't even remember what we bet, but I'm down for that bet as well. Guys, there's just a couple of other pieces of news that I want to touch on. And I think this one, we kind of knew that Tariq Cohen was going to miss some of the start of the season, but I'm just curious where you guys have moved, if you have moved him at all. But David Montgomery, because he's a guy that I'm really big on. I actually have him as running back 12. I'm highest on him. I get that. But have you guys moved David Montgomery up at all in your rankings? Or where do you guys have David Montgomery? It's really just him, Damian Williams, and then Khalil Herbert that's on that roster right now. Where do you guys have David Montgomery in your running back rankings for 2021?
I've got him at 16 in between Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Miles Sanders.
Haven't moved him up with officially being on the PUP. You expected Cohen to miss. Kind of the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Damian Williams can fill a little bit of that role. I think Montgomery's load's still going to be what it is. I think Cohen not being back just means Williams sees the field a little bit more. I expect Montgomery to pretty much put up the same year he put up last year.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like there's that range, and that's what I've talked about with these guys where I'm just like, oh man, maybe I'm too low on them. I think there's definitely in the range possibility that they can exceed their ADP. I think Miles Sanders, Dave Montgomery, like all those guys are right in there for me. Where I have kind of this tier of running backs that I just absolutely love, and there's no way I'm putting David Montgomery ahead of these guys, and that's the guys we've kind of talked about: Antonia Gibson, Aaron Jones, Najee, Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, and even Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like I can't put those guys ahead of him, so that's kind of that next tier for me on those running backs. And so, like I think that it wouldn't shock me if David Montgomery was a top 10 running back again this year. No. Do I think it's likely? No. I think it's far more likely he is a high-end RB2. So, but I do like getting Dave Montgomery if you can get him. But
Yeah. So Kev, not to pick on you, you're the lowest on him at 18, so he's kind of the mid to lower running back 2. You have Chris Carson just slightly above him. You might like him pretty even. You have James Robinson over him, DeAndre Swift over him, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Are those still guys you all like over him still to this date, or would you maybe move him a little bit with Tariq Cohen going to the PUP list today?
No, I still think he fits in there.
Running back 18 for you?
Yeah. Like I said, I think if I can have him over Chris Carson. I think that's fair. I can't have him over DeAndre Swift. Like DeAndre Swift has been the one guy that I feel like I am higher on him, and I've moved him up. That like he has top 7 upside in him. Like he could catch. He could be 80, 90 reception guy that we're talking about. That is definitely there for him. And so with that upside, that type of ceiling in terms of pass catching volume, it is hard not to have him that high. And especially because I think that it's funny because he's almost morphed into this like satellite back where that's how people talk about him. And I think that's like I definitely think he can handle far more of a workload than what like Austin Eckler can. And so I like DeAndre Swift. It's just the offense is terrible. And so how much touchdown equity, upside does he have? But past that, like pass catching volume is definitely there. I think Jamal Williams hurts him a little bit, but I really don't care all that much about Jamal Williams.
Yeah. Are you guys changing at all if Fields takes over pretty early? Let's say he's the starter in week 3 or 4 or something like that. Are you guys moving on Monty at all, or he's still the same for you guys? No bump in the ranks.
For me, he's kind of stuck where he is, really just because of who he's around. Like we just talked about, like the guys ahead of him for me are guys like Swift and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, to where I really trust their involvement in the passing game or the offense they're on a lot more. Montgomery for me is a cut above the guys that you were talking about with Kev. Carson, Edwards, Robinson, Davis, Jacobs. So for me, he's really kind of that dividing line between the elite or potential elites and the guys that you just know are RB2s. So pretty much he's stuck right there as that border for me.
He's like middle class.
Yeah.
What's interesting and why I have him as running back 12 is that without Tariq Cohen for most of the year, what did Tariq Cohen go down like the week 4 or something like that? He had 68 targets, 54 receptions. So we're talking about if you want to be a top 6-ish back, you have to have at least a threshold of 50 receptions. Really, it was just his yards that were low. He only had 247 rush attempts and then 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. Like if he can get 260, 270 attempts and get those rushing yards up to 1,100, 1,200 and keep that receiving workload, I think he's absolutely locked and loaded as a running back 1. And that's why I have him just at the back end of that running back 1 status, because I do think he kind of retains that receiving work and he just gets more rushing work, because I don't think we're sharing with anybody. I'm not worried about Damian Williams. I just honestly think he kind of has the full workload to himself.
Yeah, he does.
See, the only thing that I would argue with is that it's not a Tariq Cohen thing whenever he became involved in the passing game. Like if you look at David Montgomery, he was involved in the passing game early on in the season. If you look at just routes, he ran the first 2 weeks, 14 and 15 routes. So past that, 20 in week 3, 35 and 4, 31, 27, 15, 32, 27, 37, 32, 20. It was pretty much the same, right? But it wasn't until week 12 till he actually, really, as that's when he had that explosion where he went for 25, 27, 24, 29, 20, right? That's when he exploded. I think it's definitely a possibility that he is much more the guy who's getting you 13, 11, 12 and a half, 10, 18.9, with maybe a 20 mixed in here and there. Like that's where I come in on him. He's not going to be a guy who's obviously going to get you 20, that kind of crazy production that he had. And I think for the most part, you're looking at pretty strong RB2 production. I just cannot put him over these other guys that I just think that have much higher ceilings than he does.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I got one more, and then we'll probably start to wrap this up. We've been going for over 2 hours. We've been rocking it. Appreciate all you guys who are rocking it with us. Please continue to drop questions. You guys have them, and we will answer them. But the last thing is DJ Chark and Marvin Jones are expected back for week 1 for the Jaguars. Who do you guys have as your wide receiver one there? Because I've heard a lot of talk, a lot of hype for Laviska Shenault. DJ Chark's obviously been that wide receiver one, and then you have your Marvin Jones truthers. How do you think that plays out in that wide receiver room in Jacksonville? Christian, I'll shoot it to you first.
I have no idea. That one's been stumping me all offseason. And, they all bring something a little different. DJ Chark was my answer early on, but then the more I think of it, Marvin Jones is a veteran, does a lot of the things he does well, and Laviska Shenault reminds me of what I wanted Cordero Patterson to be coming out of school. He's this big guy that, he's a lower ADOT player, but he is just a dynamic athlete. With ETN out, I think that benefits Shenault more so than the other two, because he's going to get some of those targets that I believe ETN would have got. But I just don't feel strongly here. I don't have any of these three guys in my top 36 wide receivers just because I don't have a good enough handle on it to where I have a good enough feel which one of these guys is going to lead the pack. So whichever one you can get at the cheapest price is who I would go with, and that seems like it's Marvin Jones. And it seems like there's some safety with Marvin Jones as well. I mean, he's a veteran. I mean, if you look at his career, he's been a very consistent performer no matter where he's been. So I would lean Marvin Jones at price, but I'm not confident there. The reason I'm leaning on the price is because I just don't have a great feel of who I think is going to be the absolute guy, but I think all their production is pretty close.
Yeah, Kev, so Christian and I have Shenault and Chark pretty close, 42 and 45 for me in our wide receiver rankings. Christian has them 37 and 40, just slightly higher than me. And then you have a little bit bigger of a gap between Shenault and DJ Chark. You have 35 for Shenault, wide receiver 35, and then 47 for Chark. So you have a little bit more of a split. How do you feel on this thing? Are you a little bit more Shenault is going to be the wide receiver one?
Yeah, I think he's going to be the wide receiver one in this offense. I think he can take – he's the guy that I feel like next year – I think there's a real possibility we're talking about him as a top 20 wide receiver next year. I think he's that good. I don't think he's just a gadget guy. I think that he can kind of take more of a really refine his route tree and kind of be more of just a complete wide receiver. Christian already kind of talked about it, credible athlete and everything else. And I think with Trevor Lawrence here, the thing with DJ Chark is he had that 1 year, but he's never really done anything since. And at first, I was kind of higher on him early in the offseason, but the more I've sat here and thought about it, and the more information we get coming in over the offseason, and now training camp preseason, it's kind of okay, I think maybe DJ Chark is dead. I don't think he's actually ever going to that was probably his 1 year where he, really played really well. And I don't know if he's ever going to be anything more than that again. And so, I just prefer Laviska Shenault. I think that he can take a big time jump this year and be something maybe on a path that kind of like the AJ Browns of the world have. And I think he has that sort of athleticism, and I think he is this team's number one wide receiver. I think Marvin Jones, I think, is fine if you want to take him as kind of a late round guy. Got to get you that flex option here and there whenever you need him in a pinch. I think he can be fine there because their defense is going to be terrible. They're going to have to throw the ball. But in just terms of just overall ceiling, give me Laviska Shenault all day. But I do love I shouldn't say love, but I do like Marvin Jones where he's going as just kind of that guy that if you want to fill out your bench. It's not a guy I'm ever going to draft just because my bench is always are going to be guys. My entire bench is always Terrace Marshall and Elijah Moore and Jacoby Myers and Brian Edwards. I'm just looking for straight ceiling. I don't really give a shit about any floor in terms of my bench. I'm looking to hit those home runs.
I like that. Hey, guys, anybody else we should hit on before we exit? We've been talking roster cuts, trade rumors, kind of everybody who's kind of maybe moved in the past couple of days. Anybody else that we need to hit on before we wrap this up? Nope. Christian, good.
Just give me this. Let's just do this for fun. What's your Super Bowl prediction for 2021? And chat, let us know what your Super Bowl prediction is realistically, okay? Don't get wild, Walito, and say the Saints, okay? Because it ain't fucking happening. But just realistic Super Bowl prediction.
Mm-hmm. Chiefs over Bucks for me.
Gosh. I need some time. I need to think. Give me some time. Kev, who do you got?
So every year I don't like picking the Chiefs because I feel like I'm going to jinx them. So, but there's really nobody in the AFC that I can really see like realistically. Like I'm like, yeah, they can knock off the Chiefs.
No on the Bills.
No Bills or Ravens or maybe Titans? No?
The
Bills
Ravens
can
have no
absolutely-
shot.
Bills
And
can
I'm not
absolutely
worried
knock
about
them
the
off.
Titans. It would probably be the Bills. Bills would have
Bills
to be
can
that
knock
one
them off.
team that I think could possibly do it. But that's the list. Oh, well, actually, no. You would slam the under on that.
Kev
I would
doesn't
think.
play fantasy football. He just plays DFS.
Well, no, I have a home keeper league that I've been in for years. Thank you very much.
How many leagues do you have?
Well, I
Kev?
guess I have the listener league too. I didn't think about that. So
There
it would
you
have to be a
go.
push because they're the only 2 leagues that I play in.
You currently do not have a listener league because you've not set it up. You sir.
Excuse me. I have set it up. I just haven't sent everybody the link. Thank you very much.
Sounds like you haven't set it up. There are not
I actually
teams in
already
there.
set up a Yahoo once. I thought we were going to use Yahoo, and then all of a sudden people start complaining about Yahoo. So I was like, well,
Yahoo
okay.
is absolutely the best redraft platform.
Use Yahoo. Don't care what these people say. If they want to play in the TFA,
This is the listener league. This
we
is for the
use
people, right? See, this is the
Yahoo.
kind of person a dictator over here.
You're lucky that I'm not in the league. They don't want to see my platinum Yahoo score. They get into
I
Christian.
tried. I pushed. Listen, you know what? I might have to make an executive decision and open up a second league because I don't like telling people no. We should have to. People, if our listeners want to join us in a listener league, they should be able to join. And it's not like it's anything we have to do. Say, Christian, here you go. Start the second listener league, right? You commission it, and you run it, and it wouldn't be nothing to fill. If right? It's no extra work for us.
Christian, I understand why they did not vote us into the league. They were like, what? How do we have the best chance to win? We need to put Kevin Steele in. We need to put Cody Kutzer in. We should not have these sharks in, Christian and Robbie. They made the best choice.
Whatever helps you sleep at night.
Yeah.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. What is your Super Bowl prediction? I'm not letting you off the hook.
All right. Super Bowl prediction will be Bills for the AFC.
Uh-oh.
And gosh, the NFC is so tight. I want to say Bucks again, but I feel like that's lame to do. I'm going to go Rams over the Bills in a tightly
Tom Brady's
contested
still in
Super
the
Bowl.
league, though.
He is. He makes
So,
it every other year. He makes it every other year, right? Every other year.
I'm going Packers and Chiefs.
You just jinxed him.
Yeah. I'm
So
going Packers and Chiefs.
That's cool. Cool stat I saw on not on Tom Brady, but Tom Brady was involved in it the other day. I saw this on Twitter too. Y'all realize during Tom Brady's career, Calvin Johnson came into the league, played his whole career, and got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and Tom Brady's still playing.
Oh, that's not surprising at all. I bet there's probably better examples than that one. I guarantee you there's better examples. That's
like somebody literally finished their career and has already been inducted, and they came into the league after Tom Brady.
Calvin Johnson been gone for a minute. Like that's all right.
I will always love Calvin Johnson.
Guy was a beast. Now he plays for the Falcons. He's just playing tight end. Let's go.
I like that little drop there.
That was good.
Should I trade Aaron Jones and Judy for Dalvin Cook?
No. Kev?
I don't think there's much of a difference in Aaron Jones and Dalvin Cook.
There's
And I
not.
love Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think I would hold. I agree.
All right. I think that's it. I think that's all we have for our impromptu 10 minutes of planning through Tom and Cody on, who are now gone. The only OG here, Robbie. Bring in Kevin Steele. Bring in Christian Welch. And we've given you guys a bunch, 2 hours and 22 minutes of roster cuts, fantasy talk, answering some start sits. Keep it posted here because we have a ton of content coming out for you guys, a lot of live shows as we get into in-season content. So Kev listed it before, but we basically have stuff Sunday morning before the games, Sunday night. Kev, you guys have waivers Monday night. You have start sit that I'm joining Wednesday night. We have the DFS Degenerates show on Thursday night. We have Saturday night prop talk. What am I missing, guys? Anything I'm missing before we get out of here?
We got streaming. We got all kinds. We got all kinds of stuff. yeah, we got the streaming stuff that we're going to be doing. I think we have a wide receiver quarterback matchup that we're going to be doing. So, yeah, we got a lot of stuff. Hey, and dude, just guys, listen. Just jump into the Discord, and say, Robbie, I don't care what you think. We're doing a second listener league. I want a piece of your ass, Christian and Robbie. You're going down. Okay? That's all you guys got to do. Okay? I'm already in one. Okay? The people spoke. They want to take a shot at the top. Okay? They want to try to knock me off my throne. It ain't gonna happen. I win
easy
always.
wins, easy dubs.
Okay? So jump in the Discord. That's all you got to do. It's absolutely free. There should be a link in the description. Join, free, whatever. You know, you can see me just abuse Walito in there all day. It's what happens. It's become pastime. But if you guys want a shot, that's all you guys got to do, okay? Tell Robbie, we're the listeners. You do what we say, okay? You don't – that's how it works, okay? So –
yes, tell me. Hey, Kev, before you get out of here, is Ryan joining next week, or is he going to be a later special guest as he is now royalty to come back to the DGen show?
I cannot confirm nor deny if Ryan will be on next week, but I do know that Ryan's going to be on for our Thanksgiving show, our Thanksgiving special, which always goes for 2 hours over 3 games. I don't know why, but it is. It's the longest show we'll do all year, and it's over 3 games. And then I think he'll be back for the playoffs too. So Ryan's not gone. He's over doing stuff for FanDuel. FanDuel is the stone cold worst. I absolutely hate FanDuel. Maddie will tell you the same thing. We absolutely hate FanDuel. And, you know, it's fine. Hey, props to Ryan, you know, doing the content over there. But FanDuel is the absolute worst platform.
We're looking for that DraftKings sponsorship here. Too.
Apparently we are.
This is a DraftKings friendly channel.
Oh, gosh. I'm sorry, Ryan, if your company decides to.
He knows this. That's probably why they told him he couldn't be on all the time, because we have crushed FanDuel so many times. I'm surprised they even asked him to be on it, to be quite frank, because we usually, because people will ask, like, hey, guys, why don't you guys cover FanDuel? And we're like, because FanDuel fucking sucks. That's why.
Well, Ryan is the GOAT. We still support him wherever he goes, and he's still here with us. He will be back for special guests on the DGen show. Guys, keep it locked in right here, because we have a ton of content coming for you guys. Basically, almost every night of the week during the season, we're going to be rocking with you. Live shows, really streams, podcasts coming to the podcast feed. So make sure you keep it here. We will catch you on the next live show. Peace.
Adam Troutman, wide receiver, or tight end 1. What did he do? What did he do? He didn't
left
click the
instead of
outro.
ending the broadcast.
He actually left. What kind of? Oh man!
I left the video and I didn't hit end broadcast.
Listen.
Oh my god.
See you in the Discord. What is this? Amateur hour?
Hey.